Yeah, sleep well, Galen. I need to. There's something. Oh yeah, the camera fan. Be right back. Okay. Whew. Dark. Whew. Okay. All right. So the rares and mythics, obviously, most of the time it's just gonna be like slam this card. Um, this card is great, but again, since it's play boosters, you kind of have to be able to evaluate a little bit of the differences in power level amongst them. Um, so, we have, and there might be some absolutely unplayable ones that I can't really remember very well, but we shall see. All right. So this card is dumb. What we're used to is the like a cavalry, something like, I think they have like, yeah, but yeah, call the cavalry. So we're used to something like this, or an actual body on a knight, like a knight, a 2/2 that makes another 2/2 when it comes into play. So like 2 knight tokens with vigilance for 4 mana. And that's always been a decent ROI. It's a fine card in limited. This is 3 mana for 2 2/2s, which is already really nice. So it's 3 mana for 4 power across 2 bodies, which is very, very nice. And then you have flashback on the card for 6 that can make 2 more 2/2s, but then every spirit that you have, and there are a lot of spirits in this, and that was why I was sure to point out that spirit is a relative, a relevant creature type. You get a +1 encounter on each spirit you control. So the next time, so for flashback, you're getting 2 3/3s, but your other spirits are also all getting pumped. So this is a very good card. I don't think it's necessarily a game-winning bomb. So what we do is we're going to put that in the A tier, not A plus or S. Hey, Rusty! Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Rusty. So we have. I think I'm gonna put this in A for now. It could be an A plus card, honestly. Like I have to sort of see all the other stuff. I didn't play with a lot of rares in white. Obviously, you saw me play only Witherbloom. I was only splashing for the white uncommon, which was the Killian's Confidence. Because it's a crazy card. But yeah. So, for now, I'm going to give this an A. A cards are just strong, very strong cards. That do good things. Actually, so do I even want an A plus category? Just A minus A and then S? Nah, it's fine. So yeah, I'm gonna give this an A for now. It's something that you'll take over, some other rares. And you'll definitely take it over some of the more powerful uncommons. Most of the powerful uncommons, but not all of them. So this card, I think people are undervaluing this card. This card is freaking stupid. Absolutely dumb. Like I think people like I've seen people be like, "Oh, that card's not good." I'm like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" But maybe they're like constructed players and they're like, "Oh, I don't think this is actually gonna do stuff." So I don't even know. But Emeritus of Truth is in limited just absolutely freaking nutty. So either you get a 3/3 and a 1/1 flyer for 3, or and a 1/1 flyer for 3, because your opponent still doesn't control more creatures than you, right? Or you get a 3/3 on the ground and a 1/1 flyer, and your opponent still controls more creatures than you, and you get a Swords to Plowshares option. Or you get a 3/3, they get a 1/1 flyer, and you take out their dragon, right? Like, this is a crazy, crazy card. I think this is fantastic. I think this is an A+. I don't think it's an S tier bomb necessarily. I think it's just a really phenomenal rare / mythic. So, and I want it for my cat deck. I also kind of honestly want it for my group hug deck too. So that I can give, so that I can give an opponent a 1/1 who's suffering a little bit and still get a Swords to Plowshares. But yeah, anyway. Okay. Erode is Path to Exile, except that it doesn't exile, and it can target a Planeswalker. So it destroys rather than exiling, and it can target a Planeswalker. So this card is very, very good. This is a wonderful removal spell. Because it is just a removal spell and not an S tier bomb, I will be putting it in the A slot. /A+. There's some cards that you like. I think for single piece of removal, I think the Emeritus is just a better card than this. So that's why I'm going to put the Erode in an A and not A+. You're gonna go Silver Quill? Oh, nice. But yeah, this card is money in paper, and it's definitely like a very powerful spell. Informed Inkrite. So this is a 2-mana 2/2 Vigilance wizard, which can be a relevant creature type. It has Repartee. Whenever you cast an instant spell or sorcery spell that targets a creature, create an Inkling. That is very good. Very good. I think it is probably not as good as some of the above here. I think I want to give it an this one, I mean, there's so many things that kill it so easily. So I don't know that you get value out of it, but somebody having to kill your 2-drop 2/2 is really already nice for you. But I think I would probably still pick, of course, Antiquities over it. So I gave Antiquities an A. I gave this an A+. I gave this an A. I probably will still give this one an A/A-. But yeah, this is, I mean, again, with something that can be prepared over and over again and keep casting spells, it is amazing. And just when you cast spells and removal and stuff, it's just really good value. So, and again, there's so much flashback that you can keep casting. So this may go up in my estimation, but I think for now, I don't think I would take it over Emeritus. Yeah. Joined Researchers, 2-mana 2/2 first strike. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent has more cards in hand than you, this creature becomes prepared. And it has Secret Rendezvous. You and target opponent each draw 3 cards. I wonder if you could mill them out. It's still a 2/2 first strike for 2, which is still good these days. Even if you never use the Secret Rendezvous. And frankly, if your opponent is in like Prismari or Quandrix, they are, I believe, from the first Secret Rendezvous, yes. If they are, it's good in Group Hug, of course, but like in Limited, if they are in Quandrix or Prismari, sometimes they already have like 7 cards in hand. And so the Secret Rendezvous is actually good for you to cast. So I do think this is A- /B+. I think it has fewer uses in Limited than Constructed, but it's still a 2/2 first strike for 2, so it's still fine. So, and on occasion you'll get the Secret Rendezvous value. Sometimes you can mill them out. Okay. Practiced. Oh, this one we did see in in the Shuffle Up and Play episode. This is yeah. Anyway, that art is a lot. I don't like it, not because of any technical lack of proficiency. Like, it's not like this person can't, you know, do art. I just don't like the framing. I don't like the layout, and I don't like the color choices. But that's just me. So, that's just me. I don't like this card artwork. Remember, though, sometimes one of the things that's interesting is you can't always blame the artists for the art, because there are art directors, and the art director gets final say. So I'm not blaming this artist. I'm not blaming the art director necessarily. Either one could have been responsible for this, but I just think some mistakes were made. And I'm sad that I don't like the art, because it is a cool card for this. So this is 3 mana, put a plus one counter on each creature target player controls. Target creature gains your choice of double strike or lifelink until end of turn. That can really turn a game around. And it also triggers your repartee, and it has flashback, which is crazy. This is a very good card. Of course, it does require you to have hopefully a lot of creatures on the board. That's the way to maximize this. So for that reason, because it's not just good on its own, same thing with this, right? It doesn't get, this is just good on its own. So like, you're like, okay, this is just good on its own to some degree. So again, this requires other things to happen, and this is meh when it's on its own. And then, so this one, again, you need some things to happen there. So I'm going to give it an A-/A. It can be up to A, depends on the deck and the draws. But yeah, but I would pick Inkrate over it, for example, and things like that. So, well, it depends. It honestly depends on the day, because I might be silly. So this is a Paradigm card. This is the first time we have seen this so far, because the Paradigms are all rare. Now, Paradigm is replacing Epic. Epic was a mechanic done during the first Champions block. So this is from Saviors. And this is Enduring Ideal. It's an example of an Epic card. So basically, you pay the 7 mana, sorcery, search your library for an enchantment card, put it into play, then shuffle your library. And then for the rest of the game, you can't play spells. At the beginning of each of your upkeeps, copy the spell, except for the Epic ability, of course. So this is basically you get the spell for free every turn. But Epic meant that you couldn't cast anything for the rest of the game. You would always get this same spell happening every turn, but you couldn't cast anything else. And that was just not strong enough most of the time to do anything real, even in EDH, etc. I did have this in my enchantment deck for a while, because what it does is fetch us up like Sanguine Bond and what's it? Blood, Exquisite Blood. So there was the combo, just kill people, but again, still not good. Morning Thunderfall. So this is updated Epic. This is Paradigm, which means that you get to play this card, and then you get to cast a copy of it from exile without paying its mana cost at the beginning of each of your first maiden phases. And it doesn't say you can't cast anything else. So it's just really, really power crept Epic. So there you are. So this one says return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. At 7 mana, that's very expensive. Normally, we're used to getting this effect at 5 mana. So any non-land permanent, we have actually a Orzhov card that does that. Uh, wait, hold on. Does it do this? I don't know that it does that. Okay. It was a rare from, I think I want to say Gate Crash or Dragon's Maze, I forget. Something like that. Let's try Dragon's Maze. Yeah, Obsidat's Aid. Okay. So this we're used to target permanent card, right? Oftentimes we're used to getting creatures back for 4, sometimes for less, of course. But for any permanent from the graveyard to the battlefield, this has been the one for a while, which is 5 mana. That's the rough estimation. But here we have non-land permanent, so that's a slight restriction. So you could get lands with Obsidat's Aid, but but with this you can get non-land permanents. But for the cost of 2 more mana, you do this every turn, which is pretty cray-cray. Pretty cray-cray. A free spell every turn worth approximately 5 is very nice. It is a little stupid. So of the paradigms, this is one of my favorites for limited, because that's just a ton of value. It is, unfortunately, in the colors, like, it's in white, which doesn't actually have that many huge things. That's the only drawback here. So I do like this one. But again, it's the colors that it is in don't have that many large things in this set, like huge things that you really, want back. That said, the value over time should accumulate. It's just for 7 mana, often you expect to be winning the game instantly at this point. If you're in Boros, for example, Lorehold in this case. So again, it's a little sketch. Probably better in Silverquill, but Silverquill also doesn't have that many large things. So anyway, but it's so much value. So the color's a little awkward, but it's still very good. So again, I think this one's going to be an A plus. I don't think it's going to be an S tier bomb necessarily, but it is very dumb. Yeah. So if you return a dragon, if you have a dragon, great, but that's 2 mythics you've opened probably. All right. I just watched Saffron Olive call this a hoop singer 3 times in a row, and I was like, I hope you have the best time opening these packs, because damn. But yeah, this is a 3 mana 1/3 flying life, like exactly, love a nice hoop singer. With Repartee, whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell that targets a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. That is fucking nuts. Knocking futs, as they say. So this one is going to be an A+. I think this one is freaking sick. So I love it. Now, ideally, what you're going to do is you're not going to play this on 3. You're going to play it on 4 with a 1 mana, thing that targets, right? Or even 5 with the 2 mana things that targets, because you want to curve out with creatures first so you can get the value of putting +1/+1 counters on things. However, if you absolutely have to run it out on 3, fine. I hope you have the time, King. Exactly. I hope you have the time of your life. Yeah, sorry. But yeah, really damn good card. All right, we're along to the blue. Here we go. Echo Casting Symposium. So this is another paradigm card. It's 6 mana. Target player creates a token that's a copy of target creature you control. So this is a way to target over and over again. So it can be really fun to perhaps you're in like blue-white, but you're splashing for the color pair that's supported, and then you can, repartee this every turn. That said, it's on a rough level with cards that we've seen before, including the one from Foundations, the enchantment that creates a copy of something you control every turn. So we have, God, what the hell was that card? All right, blue, 4, blue, ugh. And it's an extravagant replication. Thank you. Yes, that's the one. So basically here, this is sort of what we're used to getting if we're getting a copy of something every turn. This is a reprint of Foundations of the Commander card from Streets of New Capenna Commander. So this is what we're used to getting at the beginning of upkeep. Create a token that's a copy of another target non-land permanent you control. This one's at the beginning of your main phase, first main phase. And so you can roughly put this on par with this. The fact that it is a sorcery and keeps recurring makes it a lot less vulnerable to removal than this enchantment that stays on the board. So, and you can get value every turn from casting a sorcery that's 6 mana to trigger your Opus at the highest version. So it is a lot better than this in a lot of ways. And that's why it's mythic. But among other reasons, but it is a little bit of a risk just because, you know, again, if you do not have a creature in play when you draw this card, that is really frickin' rough. And it's a 6 mana do nothing at that point. It also doesn't do anything the turn it comes into, it targets immediately. It does the thing when it comes into play. That's fine. But again, if you have nothing valuable, that's a bit of a problem. It's also, they can kill whatever you target in response. So, yeah, if you cast a copy of it from exile, it still counts as casting a copy, but without paying its mana cost. It still has a mana cost. The copy still has a mana cost, as far as I'm aware. But let me just double check on Opus. It might say when you spend that mana. That might be wrong, because then this doesn't spend. So I have to double check how Opus is read. If 5 or more mana was spent. No. Okay, so it's not going to trigger Opus on after the first time. The first time it's going to trigger, but not after the first. Because it says if 5 or more mana was spent, not if the mana cost was 5 or more. So you actually have to spend the mana. So reductions in mana do matter, etc. So in this case, it will trigger the first time, but not the others. So you're not triggering every turn your Opus, sadly. But you can make more Opus creatures, which is fun. But yeah, so this is something to think about. It does require a little bit to go right. I'm probably going to give it... The problem with copying tokens... copying, like, fractals... How vulnerable do I think this card is? 6 mana. It's also making tokens. This goes really well with a blue-white, too, because it makes tokens for that little white uncommon, which is really sweet. I am tentatively going to give this an A, but it could be an A+. Yeah, the paradigm will still happen. I'm just trying to think of the worst case scenarios for this card. Because there's a very high ceiling, but I think it has a pretty low floor. Because if they kill the only creature you have, then the next turn you're still not going to have a creature because it triggers the beginning of your first main phases. And unless you flash something in at that point, like, you wouldn't be able to copy again. Yeah, I think it's still very strong. But I think it's an A rather than an A+. All right. This card's stupid. It's also a lot of money. Slam it. Moving along. So Exhibition Tide Colors. This is a 1 blue mana 0/2 that has the Opus and is starting to mill people. I'm going to get milled out by this card, and I'm going to be really unhappy about it. There's a lot of speculation that this will replace a bunch of milling creatures in the current mill decks. Hedron Crab and the like. There's a lot of speculation that this is just going to be better than those. I don't know. Because I don't think it is. I think the Hedron, like, has 3 toughness. It's landfall. You don't have to cast things. You don't have to rely on casting 5 or more mana things either. But yeah, anyway, sorry, I shouldn't speculate about, like, constructed, but so yeah, so this card can do serious work in limited, and I'm really unhappy about that because I hate mill. Mainly because it's non-interactive. They don't care what you're doing, they just mill you out. Yeah, so this is Tide Caller. I think it's quite powerful. But again, you have to be dedicated to that. I think that, you know, incidentally, you are going to be casting a lot of 5 or more mana spells and a bunch of instants and sorceries in blue, whether you go Quandrix or Prismari. So I do think that the presence of this card in particular makes the archaic... like, this archaic is actually going up in value. So I do think this card, like, I think if you, like, okay, I'm gonna build a dedicated deck to this, and if you can get 2, I think your opponent is probably wrecked. Because there is a way to protect it in the format, in the form of Dive Down, the new Dive Down. Which is in blue. I passed it. This one. So you can protect it and at the same time mill them 3. I think you have to really commit, and for that reason, I'm gonna give it a B+. Like, you have to really commit to this deck to really, if it's the focus of your win. If you're just being, like, incidental mill, sure, but, like, that's not doing as much as you probably would want it to do. All right, Harmonized Trio, 1 mana, 1/1. Tap 2 untapped creatures you control. This creature becomes prepared. Okay, and you get a Brainstorm. Charming. All right, so 3 tapped creatures gets you a Brainstorm. Notably, you can get Brainstorm locked. And only see 1 new card every turn. Because I don't think there are fetches in this. And I know there's no fetches in this, but this is an interesting card. Because yeah, Brainstorm without shuffling can be really rough. Because you'll, like I said, even if you do this every turn, you may be brainstorm locked, meaning you'll just see one more card every turn. That's still nice. It's still very good. We're still fine with it. But yeah, I'm gonna run to the restroom really quickly and I'll be right back. I also want to take this empty seltzer can from earlier away. But yeah, so we're gonna come back. I'm gonna think about this for a second. I still think it's way worth it. But I'm thinking about other ways that I know of in the set to shuffle. Whew. Hey, Kuro, how you doing? Raiden, sleep well. Okay. Okay, so we have harmonized trio here, and I'm still thinking about the like shuffles. There's not that many. I don't think you care that you see this while you're under pressure. Because it draws you cards to potentially get out of that. And look, you can activate it at instant speed, so you can still block and then do this once, right? So, so I do like it. I do think it's an A minus, more than an A or A plus. I think that's, or even S. Yeah. Okay. Jadzi, Steward of Fate. So the prof actually played this on Shuffle Up and Play, so you did see what it did. It is, it is quite powerful. I do think 3 mana for a 2/4 already fine, and then you get to enter, draw 2 cards, and discard 2 cards. Card selection like that is already amazing at 3. It blocks most things. It dies to the red 4 damage spell, but doesn't die to Last Gasp or the red 3 damage spell. Yeah. I think this card is good. I do think this card is quite good. If only for the left side, like draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards, get a 2/4 body for 3. I think that's perfectly reasonable. I think I would probably rank this as an A, not an A minus. I think this is just a good card. And then you can get value later. And here's Mana Drain. If you control a wizard. Remember when I said wizard was a relevant creature type all throughout the commons and uncommons, and also in the rares here? This is one of the reasons why, if not the only reason, I think. But yeah. Counter target spell is a cancel at the base of it, but you can also get the colorless mana, equal to the amount of mana spent to cast that spell at the beginning of your next main phase. So it's a fixed mana drain for wizards. There you are. I still think in limited it's a lot less good. Hi. Whoa. Hi, cat. You're very cute. I think Brawl players are going to be really unhappy to see this. So, Kitty Purr ASMR. You're so good. Sorry for the break. This is just really nice. Kitty Purr against your chest is like super, super, super relaxing. Okay. I'll give you some treats. And then I'll get back to the review. I think that sometimes this is going to lead to like an actual mana leak. Mana drain. Not that frequently in limited, and like it's still just a cancel otherwise. So I'm going to give this a B. I just think it's meh. Mathemagics. So, people were getting really upset about this card, and I'm like, it's not hard. Oh my god. They even spell it out for you. God damn. Oh man. Am I going nuts, or is like the rest of the world? Because it's literally spelled out for you. It literally actually, like, it doesn't even bother to make you do 2 to the X. It does. You don't need 6. You don't need 6. Almost always, if you do 2 to the 5th here, if you can actually do 12 mana, 32 cards, your opponent should never have 32 cards left in a 40 card deck. When you have that much mana, there's no way. Probably 2 to the 4th, right? If you can get 10 mana somehow. Or even like, yeah. Anyway. So... yeah, pretty seriously. Like, they even spell it out. Like, if they didn't spell it out, maybe some people are, are not so great on their exponents. Fine. But, like, they spell it out and people are getting all upset. And I'm like, what? Come on, just read the... It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts. The education in this country hurts. So anyway, so this card. So let's analyze this card at its base, right? 2 to the 0, right? That means if you pay 2 blue, you draw a card. So that is 2 mana to draw a card. Not great for blue. Still fine. It's a cantrip essentially, but it's not great for blue. Now let's say we go. So when X is 2, which is 2 to the 1st, we get 2 cards. So, sorry. When X is 1, I'm so sorry. 2 to the first is 2. So sorry, I was just you draw 2 here. This is the Y. So 2 to the first. I was plugging in the wrong X here because I'm so tired. But anyway, 2 to the first. When X is 1, right? You draw 2 cards. So basically 4 mana for 2 cards. Not a good ROI as well because we're used to divination at 3. And this has quick study, which is an instant speed divination at 3. So once you then get to be able to play 6 for 4 cards, that becomes opportunity. Target player draws 4 cards at instant speed, so we're still used to that, right? That's sorcery, though, here. Once you get to 3, which is going to be 8 mana total, right? 3, 6, 8, you'll get 8 cards. And that is a really good ROI. So, I think that it's probably safe to say, even with the ramp that we've seen in Quandrix, right? With the green frog, the blue merfolk that adds mana for instants and sorceries, it's probably not a good idea to sorcery speed draw 8 cards for 8 mana. That's when this is at its most valuable. Drawing 4 cards at 6 is okay, but if the problem is, like, you can't just sit back and hold up a counter spell, and then if they don't play anything really worthy of a counter spell, then you opportunity. That's why this card was fine. I don't think this is a good card for limited. I think if you're creating 1,000,000 mana in like an X spell, like a Lucia Magis, the Kane one that I have, right? Lucia Magis or Magus, Lucia Kane, super amazing for X spells. Like, I think if you're doing that, then it's great, and it's doubling it too. So I do think this is not really playable in limited. I'm so sorry. I wish it were, because this is such a cool card. I really think this is probably a C+/C. It might even just be an F from me. It is you can draw a card. I mean, you might want to include it into your deck because it's just draw a card for 2 blue, and at least that casts a sorcery to trigger something. And if you need to, you can cast it for 6 mana to trigger your Opus. And hope that you're not dead by that time. Maybe it's a C+/B-. I don't know. This one's, I think there's a lot of cards I would rather run than this one anyway. So, okay. That's a hard one to really evaluate. We'll see how it does over in the format. Yeah, it cycles for 2, exactly. Like, that's not too bad. So maybe it's a B-. I don't know. I'm not going to take this highly anyway. Pensive Professor. 3 mana O2 increment. Okay, whenever 1 or more +1/+1 counters on this foot of this creature, draw a card. Holy shit. All right. Really easy to kill, so you hope you can increment it at the same time as you cast it. So again, greater than power or toughness. So if you cast a single spell after it, because since it has 0, you will be putting a counter on it and drawing a card. So this is a Fathom Mage. So this is Fathom Mage, essentially. That one's 4 mana evolve. Whenever +1/+1 counter is put on Fathom Mage, you draw a card. At 4 mana, that was a little bit slower than this one. 3 mana's, but it's double commitment to blue, obviously, as opposed to like green-blue, which is interesting. I think this card is great. It's still easy to kill, but it's so much value otherwise. So, because the next 2 spells, at the very least, should draw you a card. And so again, I think this is a really good card. I think this is an A. Sky Coach Conductor. 3 mana, 2/3 flash, flying, vigilance, enters prepared. Okay. So, it can't exile itself. That's non-pilot. So you can't exile itself and keep preparing itself. But what you can do is reset a prepared creature to be prepared again, like an unprepared creature to be prepared again, for example, or just get its ETB again, or take it out from under some enchantment that you don't like on it. So yeah, good card. And the flash flying 2/3 is really nice. It doesn't block the elementals, the 3/3 elementals well, but it does block the little inklings, and that's very nice. It has vigilance on the attack, which is super sweet. And yeah, I like that you can do the sort of the flicker for at instant speed for one of your other creatures to protect it, for example, from a removal spell, or to reset it and do all sorts of stuff. That uniform is, yeah, is wonderful. So yeah, I do really like this card. I do think it's an A- rather than an A, but maybe it's better than that. Maybe it's an A. I really like this card, but that's my personal preference. I love being able to flash in a blocker. I love having a, you know, a blocker for those inklings. I love being able to get in with vigilance. It wears counters really well. And I do love to be able to protect a creature and get the ETB again or prepare it again. It's so much value. It's not like super strong overall. Like, it's not, you know, gonna win you the game, so it's not S tier. It might not even be A+ tier at all. And I think it's, I want to call it A. I'm gonna call it A. Sorry, I'm gonna call it A. It's very good, but I think most people will give this an A- or so. But yeah, okay. Wisdom of Ages, 7 mana, return all instants and sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. Oh, that feels like it's supposed to be constructed. It's 7 mana, do nothing that turn. It still could be very powerful the next turn, but I think it's a win more card rather than like a win the game card. Like, if you're not gonna die that turn, maybe, but like, yeah, I don't really like this one. I'm gonna give it a, I'm sure that I'm gonna get wrecked by it at some point, but I'm gonna give it like a C+. I think there are certain circumstances you can run it in, but I don't think it's good. All right, so here's another paradigm. So this is Sign in Blood. Target player draws 2 cards and loses 2 life, but at 5 mana, and you get to keep casting it. It says may, so you don't have to. That is key. You can keep getting Sign in Bloods. You can kill your opponent with a Sign in Blood, but you don't have to cast it. So that's really, really important. That said, it is 5 mana to draw 2 cards and lose 2 life the first time. So I don't know how much I actually like this card. I think it's very good, but like somebody, I think it was Seth, Saffron Olive, who was comparing it to Phyrexian Arena, and it is no Phyrexian Arena. It's not that. Phyrexian Arena is, in my opinion, much better. Even though it's more vulnerable as an enchantment, it's still at 3 mana, and it starts to draw you cards at 1 life, 1 extra card per turn at 1 life, and I think that's just better for limited. I think if you can cheat this out, maybe it'd be freaking amazing, because you can gain 2 life. Again, Witherbloom loves this best because Witherbloom has the life that offsets it. So that is, it's where it shines, even though the illustration is Silverquill. The illustration really looks Silverquill to me rather than Witherbloom, but yeah. So, especially with Decorum Dissertation. Dissertation sounds like Silverquill. But I think this shines most in Witherbloom with all of the life gain, incidental life gain, and just, you know, life gain as a goal. So I do think it's good. I don't think it's Phyrexian Arena good. I'm gonna go with, I mean, if you're in a Witherbloom deck, I think it's a great card. So I'm gonna go with an A there. But if you're in anything else, I think it might actually be a, you know, B+. Emeritus of Woe. Whoa. Okay, sorry. 4 mana 5/4. Okay, that's already a good ROI. Enters prepared. At the beginning of your end step, if 2 or more creatures die this turn, this creature becomes prepared, and you get to Demonic Tutor. I forgot this one existed. Remember, I have read all these cards once before, but the only ones I'm really super familiar with are the ones that I played with on Shuffle Up. So this is Mm. This is an S tier card. You may not get the demonic tutor off. That's okay. They're gonna be really upset about 2 or more creatures dying. And remember that you can cast this second main phase and get the demonic tutor to happen. Ideally, you are basically attacking with a couple pests, or a couple inklings that are gonna die, or something like that, little buggers to die, and then you play the second main phase on 6 mana, so that you can immediately demonic tutor. Now, demonic tutor in limited is usually worse than demonic tutor in other formats, because you don't necessarily have a card that sort of is the linchpin of your deck. These days, though, with all these rares and mythics that occur and all the power creep, you do usually have a bomb that is worth fetching with demonic tutor, and it is also free. It's not a card. But this can keep coming prepared, which is just so dumb. It enters prepared, so if you have 6 mana, you can just do it direct. But again, you can also just prepare it by having it enter after 2 creatures died. You can just re-prepare it or do it throw in other things. It's just dumb. It's just freaking dumb. So you can already do the demonic tutor. You can do this. The next turn, it's an S tier card. That is a dumb freaking card. Grave Researcher. So this is a 3 mana 3/3, already fine RRI, and it surveils 1 at the beginning of your upkeep. That is really good already. Then if there are 3 or more creature cards in your graveyard, that's super easy to do. This creature becomes prepared and you can reanimate, and it's target creature card from a graveyard into the battlefield under your control. So you can take theirs, of course, because it's normal reanimate. You lose life equal to that card's mana value. Again, best in Witherbloom, because again, you have that life gain to offset the reanimate. This card is already stupid anyway without the reanimate, in my opinion. It's just really, really good for black to have Surveil 1 on a 3/3 body for 3. That's crazy. So, God, I love this card. For me, this is an A+. This card's great. Now, this card I have played with. Vane's New Dean, 3 mana, 2/1 flyer. When it enters, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with whenever this creature, all the pest things do that. So, Infusion. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, return up to 1 target creature card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the amount of life you gained this turn. It is really easy to gain life in Witherbloom, and you can just start getting back 2-drops and 3-drops. It is gross. And it's a 2/1 flyer in black already. So I think this card is a house. You have to build around it a little bit, but it is really wonderful. So I give this one an A / A-. It is a very good card. Postmortem Professor was the other rare. There were 3 rares that I had in my deck. There was Postmortem Professor, Museo, and Black. Postmortem Professor is 2 mana 2/2, can't block. Whenever it attacks, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life, but you can also pay 1 and a black and exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. Yes, there is graveyard hate in this set, a number of different ones, including so Glorious Decay, and target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. There's several more. There are several more. But you do just want to make sure that you remove the cards from the graveyard at a time that doesn't benefit your opponent. So here's one too that can target your opponent's graveyard. So yeah, you just have to be careful about like the people who have like, oh, when cards are removed from my graveyard, I get lots of things happening. And that's mostly Lorehold. R tier, yeah. So this card was really good, really useful to me. Just a really, really sweet card for Witherbloom in particular. But remember, it does exile instant or sorcery card, and itself, it removes from the graveyard as well. So you do get the value off of the white cards that you have that are sort of the Lorehold if something is removed from your graveyard mechanic. So I do like this card. I do think it's an A-. It's a very good card, but yeah. Pox Plague. This is a sort of combo piece. I think it's going to be okay in if your opponent's gone really wide and you're in mono black, cool. I don't think it's playable otherwise. So I'm gonna go with and I'm sure I'm gonna lose to it at some point, but I'm gonna go with like a C. Ral Zarek. Okay, so of the two planeswalkers, this one is the worst. So 3 mana 3/3 surveil 2 for +1. Any number of target players each discard a card, -1. -2, return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that's how it protects itself. That's how it actually has a creature in play, but then it goes down to 1, which is really vulnerable. But a 3 mana 5 planeswalker is often hard to deal with, especially if you get out early. So again, this is not that strong. The other planeswalker is absolutely bonkers. But yeah, this is a fine card. Again, it will also take resources from your opponent to make sure it gets off the battlefield. So it's still a good card. I would still take it as an A-. /A. I mean, it still does take resources from them, and it as at 5 surveil 2 on 3 is still really nice. So, or, you know, just return a really good mana value 3 creature from a graveyard to the battlefield can just also be important. So, okay. Scheming Silvertongue, 2 mana 1/3, flying lifelink. At the beginning of your second main phase, if you gain 2 or more life this turn, the creature becomes prepared and you can sign in blood. This is a fantastic card. This is an A. This is awesome. Already a 1/3 flying lifelink is actually really good in this set because it does block and kill the Inklings really well. It already has the lifelink, meaning it's going to be gaining. It has evasion and lifelink, which means it's often going to be gaining life every turn, which really enables the Witherbloom decks. And then the fact that you can it's very easy to gain 2 or more life most of the time here in the Witherbloom decks means the Sign in Blood is going to be accessible most of the time. So pretty crazy. Tragedy Feaster. Now this one people have multiple opinions about. So, Ral's art, yeah. So people are speculating that he was reality fractured or whatever's going to happen in the thing. But so this one, so this is a 4 mana 7/6 trample. That is large. And it has ward, discard a card. The thing is, unless you put in a dedicated life gain deck, you're going to be sacrificing a permanent at the beginning of your end step. Now, you can sacrifice it perfectly reasonably. If you no longer have permanents that you want to sacrifice. So that's important to note. It can actually self-sacrifice it. It doesn't say another permanent. I happen to think that the life gain decks are so great and often easy to activate that I think this card is extremely good. And at the very least, they're going to have to discard a card to deal with it. So I happen to think this is an A, but some people will disagree. Could even be an A. No, A plus. A. A plus maybe. Between those two. Withering Curse. Now this card is wonderful. I'm really hoping that those Lumerets are fine. Oh good, yes they are. They can gather to eliminate larger threats. Yes, that's great. Sorry. I was like, don't kill the Lumerets. Anyway, so all creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn is very relevant in this set. There's a lot of early aggression from a bunch of different colors. But the idea that you could also get a Wrath if you gained life this turn, super, super freaking sweet. So I do think this is an A. Again, having a Wrath in your back pocket is really, really nice. But the -2/-2 can happen post-combat to take down bigger creatures with your smaller creatures, etc. And it can also just be a 3 or 4 for 1 if they got off on the board really early. And yeah. Okay. Choreographed Sparks. So we have 2 red, can't be copied. Instant, choose one or both. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new targets for the copy, or copy target creature spell you control. The copy gains haste, and at the beginning of the next end step, sacrifice this token. So this is a fork here. Copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You can choose new targets for the copy. Or it's a heat shimmer. Sort of. But it's talking, it's copies on the stack, not like heat shimmer, which copies an actual creature on the battlefield. So you cast a creature and then you pay an extra 2, or you cast an instant or sorcery spell, pay an extra 2 in response, and copy either of them. If you do the creature, the copy gains haste, and the beginning of the next end step, sacrifice this token. So the trick is that you have to have a good instant or sorcery or a good creature with it. But I do think it's kind of cool. I think it's a little gimmicky because it does have to have some things go right. Oh, you can choose both. Interesting. But how frequently are casting both an instant and a creature spell and copying both? Oh, that's fascinating. So you put a creature spell on a stack, you put an instant or sorcery spell. No, so you put a creature spell on a stack, an instant spell on a stack, and then you do choreographed sparks to do both. You can't do it with a sorcery spell and a creature spell because you wouldn't have time to... The sorcery spell and the creature spell would have to resolve. One of them would have to resolve first. Because you can respond to the... Okay. You can't respond to the creature spell with the sorcery spell, so that won't work. So it has to be creature spell first, instant spell, and then choreographed sparks to copy both. That's so interesting. God, I hope somebody does both of these at some point. That'd be so much mana, though. I want to make this work. I do think it's gimmicky. I do think it's a B+. But that is a pretty sweet, fun card. All right, Emeritus of Conflict. Oh, Jesus, Lightning Bolt. Okay. 2 mana, 2/2, first strike. Already great ROI. When you cast your third spell each turn, this creature becomes prepared. Casting 3 spells a turn in Limited is really freaking hard. Really freaking hard. You can do it here with the flashback card that we saw, like Dig Site Inventory. 1 mana, and then cast something else, and then maybe on 6 this becomes prepared. But I think it's just not going to happen that frequently. I think we should just treat this normally as a 2/2 first strike that for 2 that on occasion can get you a lightning bolt, like on a rare occasion can get you a lightning bolt. I'm going to say probably a B+. Flashback. So instant speed, target instant or sorcery card gains flashback until end of turn. The flashback cost is equal to its mana cost. I would assume that this then still follows timing rules such that if the sorcery card gains flashback, you can only cast it at sorcery speed. But this is pretty cool. I really like this card. I do think it's a B+. But it can be very good, I think. Yeah, the other prepare cards might help in playing 3 spells as well. But again, you still need a lot of mana to do it. But it gives flashback ability. That's still fine, Evident Self. But yeah. Improvisation Capstone. 7 mana. Paradigm. So exile cards from the top of your library until you exile cards with total mana 5, 4, or greater. You can cast any number of spells from among them without paying their mana cost. I feel like this would deck me too quickly in Limited. At 7 mana, this isn't what I want to be doing. Well, yeah, I mean, no, this one I don't think... This one's... I don't know that it will deck me, but I also think that at 7 mana value 4 or greater, like if you hit a 7 drop, you're great, but like the threshold is really low. You're exiling all the lands. I think this one's more constructed. I don't really like this one. I'm gonna give it a C+ if you want to have fun. Maelstrom Artisan. I mean, maybe it's good enough. I have no idea. I'm gonna come back to revisit those. Maelstrom Artisan, 3 mana, 3/2 haste. Yeah, someone's definitely gonna kill me with it, I'm sure. So 3 mana, 3/2 haste. This creature enters prepared. Destroy target non-basic land. That's stupid. Why would you put the... There are too many common non-basic lands that are required for this limited format for you to put that card in this format. Look at them. Those are just common. I don't like this card. I mean, I think it's very, very good, but I hate it. I'm going to assume that people will have enough basics for this card not to be broken. I'm going to assume that this is an A- card. /B+. I'm going to hope that it's an A-/B+, because if it's any better than that, I'm going to be pissed. Magma Blood Archaic. So you can either play 2/2/2 or 3 mountains or any combination of that stuff. Too dapper for you to hate. That's less dapper and more like bohemian. Trample Reach 2/2 that comes with a +1/+1 counter for each color of mana spent to cast it. So let's say that each of these 2s is a different color. Good luck to you on that, because that's magic and only has 5 colors. But let's say it's 5 colors total, so 2, 2, and a red. And say these are others. So you get 5 counters on it. So it's a 7/7 Trample Reach. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+1/+1/+0 until end of turn for each color of mana. Okay, geez. Okay. But no trample. Good to know. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that we're talking about limited here. Explain purple exactly. But let's say limited, in which case it's more likely you'll have 3 colors. So if we do 2 colors... So color... Wait, hold on. What? How do I do... Red. I'd have to spend 4 if I wanted to spend to do 3 colors on it. So we go like blue, green, red, red. Then it's a 5/5, and whenever I cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures I control get +3/+0 until end of turn. For an instant and sorcery spell. I think this card is just best as mono red in limited. If you go triple red, it comes in as a 3/3 Trample Reach, and then whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn for each color. So we've cast an instant or sorcery spell that is 2 different colors. Oh, the charge counters have nothing to do with this. I'm just like... In my brain, I got it conflated. This is just bigger for each color spent to cast it, and this one is the key part. Okay. So yeah, I think it's just best as a 3/3 Trample Reach. If you have to, you can spend, 4 mana for it. With double red and then 2 other colors to make it a 4/4 Trample Reach. But I think the key part is this the second ability. Especially going wide in a Boros deck. Obviously, you're not going to just be in Boros deck. You're probably actually going to... No, still in a Boros deck, because you just +1 was always good enough. Or +2 if you have if you have the Lorehold colored sorcery or instant. That's fine. Okay. I've now talked myself through this card. It took 8 years. I went on quite an emotional journey. Sorry, I'm very tired. And my voice is also very tired. Oh. So it's taking me longer than usual to get through these, but there we go. All right. So I have sold myself on this card. I think it's very good in an aggressive deck that goes wide. I think Boros is the best fit for that. So Lorehold in this case. And I do quite like it. So I'm going to give it an A-. I think it's a good card. It could graduate to an A at some point. I'm not absolutely sure. Molten Core Maestro, 2 mana, 2/2 menace. Okay, that's already fine. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. If 5 or more mana was spent to cast that spell, add an amount of... Okay, so this is one of the cumulative opus. So if you spend 5 or more mana, not only do you put a +1/+1 counter on this, but you also add an amount of red equal to this creature's power. That is pretty cool. But already just the first part of the opus is crazy with a 2/2 menace becoming bigger and bigger. I really like this card. So I do think this is an A-/A. It's a good card. Yeah. Steal the Show, 3 mana, choose one or both. Target player discards any number of cards, then draws that many cards. Red Hair Goblin can, I love it, yeah. Flame Hair, almost. See the flames in the things? Molten Core. So 3 mana, target player discards any number of cards, then draws that many cards. Steal the Show deals damage equal to the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard to target creature or planeswalker. It's fine. Best in Prismari, obviously. I do think you're going to have to wait until you already have the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard that you need. I think the discards then draw that many cards is only going to be that useful if the instant sorceries that you have aren't going to be good. I can just see myself drawing this card when I have like 2 instants and sorceries in the graveyard and like no cards in hand. That's probably not the case with Prismari. You're probably going to be fine. So let's call it 3 in the graveyard to give it sort of a minimum. For 3 mana sorcery speed, you could do either or both. I think this is a B+. I think it's a fine card, but not unbelievable. All right, this one Amy played on Shuffle and Play. So this is 1/1 increment dude. When this creature dies, the +1/+1s transform into a fractal of that power and toughness. So that's pretty sweet. Really love it. So good. And so this is a green 1-drop that is absolutely cray. It is one of the things that somebody was asking was a really good green 1-drop within the commons and uncommons to where the green +2/+2 counter spell. Hold on one second. I will find it. Oh no, it was actually 2 colors. Hold on. Growth Curve. So put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, then double the number of +1/+1 counters of that creature. So when you cast the Growth Curve, the trigger is that this becomes a 2/2. Then you put a +1/+1 counter on it, it becomes a 3/3, and then double, it becomes a 6/6. And that's on turn 2. So this is probably the best thing you can Growth Curve into on 2. The other possibility would be the black. I mean, and that's within the green and the blue, but within the black, there is also the Scorn Mage. So whenever you cast a spell, instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, if you're in Sultai and can target this with the +1/+1 counter and then double +1/+1 counters, This will be a 4/4. Sorry, this will be a 6/6 as well, right? So you target it, it gets a +1/+1 counter, becomes a 2/2. It gets another +1/+1 counter from the spell, and then the spell doubles the counters, so it's a 6/6 as well. So there's two ways to make a 6/6 on turn 2 in the set. One that requires 3 colors, one that requires 2 colors, and a rare. So that's interesting. But yeah, I do think this is an A-level card. This is really good. Comfort and Counsel. Prof played this card. So this was 2 mana. Whenever you gain life, put a growth counter on it. As long as there are 5 or more growth counters on this enchantment, creatures you control get +3/+3. And it is nice and easy, pretty easy to gain life, like I said, in the Witherbloom sets, in the Witherbloom colors. So again, this shines very much in the Witherbloom colors. And it's sort of a Beastmaster Ascension. Well, I cannot type. So Beastmaster Ascension here, 3 mana. Whenever your creature you control attacks, you give it a quest counter, and it has 7 or more, you get +5/+5. This is a similar idea with life gain, but a little bit of a less commitment with 5 as opposed to and the 3 here, and it also costs 2 to cast instead. So this does require a bit of doing. It's pretty good, but requires a bit of doing. I'm gonna give it an A- for that reason. /B+. There's just some things required to go right. It doesn't do anything when it hits the board, so on and so forth. So Emeritus of Abundance. It's 3 mana, 3/4 vigilance, enters prepared, so you can regrowth, return. Oh god. And then whenever it attacks, if you control 8 or more lands, it becomes prepared again. That is that's a hell of a drug. Yeah, that's an A tier card. I don't know if I want to name it A+. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. That's an A+ card. Okay. Germination Practicum. 5 mana to put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, and it has Paradigm. Again, if you don't have any creatures, that's rough, buddy. But otherwise, this is crazy. And like, if you have a lot of pests, this gets absolutely annoying. Similar things. So we've got Avabrook. But that came on a body with hexproof, and it was 6 mana for a 4/4 as well. And it was only on one target creature, but then if you flipped it, it was all your creatures. For limited, this is very, very good. Anything statistically in the past that has put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control is absolutely stupid. So another example would be, oh god, how I just had it in my head, I'm blanking on it. There is another card that does this. Oh yeah, Titania's. So, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, but it also created 2 bear tokens at the time and was also 6 mana. So this is 5, but you don't get any like body with it, but it keeps going. So, preposterous. Yes. So, I would slam it. I think it's crazy. It is also, again, the first time it will trigger your big opus. The next times it won't, but 2 +1/+1 counters is pretty crazy. I'm gonna go with A+. We'll see how it goes. Oh yeah, Invasion of Mog once it was flipped though. As well. And then yeah, so I do think this is crazy. I probably should rate it S tier, but again, because you need creatures, like that's the one thing is like because you need creatures, the thing. Sometimes you have to consider, okay, what happens if I draw this card with nothing else in my hand, and that kind of is what determines an S tier card. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes. And so like there's some things that you have to consider there. But yeah, for now, I'm also going to be tentative at naming anything S tier unless I really think it's just effed up, which the blue emeritus is. Planar engineering, 4 mana, sacrifice 2 lands, just search your library for 4 basic land cards, put on the battlefield, tapped, and then shuffle. Okay, so this is stupid for landfall decks. Absolutely stupid because it's 4 landfall triggers. And if those 2 lands were earthbent, for example, you'd get them back, so that'd be 6 landfall triggers. Now, this is a way to do 5 colors in a deck that wants to run all of the converge spells. Like this. So it's really interesting to potentially run this card. But at the same time, stuff that ramps at 4 is not usually good and limited these days. The one exception fairly recently was Tarkir Dragonstorm's Dragon one that could keep coming back into your hand and keep finding lands and keep doing stuff. So I do think this is more of a constructed card. It does fill up your graveyard, but this color isn't the one that cares about your graveyard being full. So that's the problem here. So I think this is probably like a C+ card. Maybe you run it, maybe you don't. But I don't think any deck really is like, I must have this card. Unfortunately. All right, Slumbering Trudge, X and a green. This creature enters with a number of stun counters on equal to 3 minus X. If it entered with a stun counter on it, tap it. So, if this is 1, you have 3 minus 1, which is 2 stun counters on it. So on 2 mana, 6/6 that's tapped, that will untap in 2 untap steps. Well, 3 untap on the 3rd untap step. You can cast it for just the green and it'll enter with 3 stun counters on it. So a 1 mana 6/6 that will untap on the 4th untap step. But this fights really well, and there's a lot of fight spells in this, and punch as well. So I do very much like this card. Where'd my green go? Sorry, I think I went the wrong way. So yeah, we have Burrug Barrage, which punches. We have Chelonian Tackle, which fights. I think we had another something in the rest of it. But yeah. So this is still fine. So let's say you pay 3. So if you can, there's also a 6/6 for 4. What? Okay, it's time for me to be really frickin' old. Mm-hmm. So here's me being old. There were a couple of other... I wanted to go through a larger set of examples, but I think that would bore everyone to tears. So I decided not to do that. You're welcome. Leatherback Baloth was a 3-mana 4/5 during World Wake that we were like, holy shit, what did you do? This is power creep. This is absolutely stupid. But at least it was triple green. It required triple green to do. I'm glad, Summer, thank you. And we were like, what is going on? How are you doing this? At uncommon, no less. Right? That is a crazy ROI for 3 mana. It like kind of broke our minds a little bit. And it wasn't even like great. It was just, why would you do this? And then they keep pushing the limits for green. And we're going to get to a card that I was just like, this is just... and we're going to swear. So there's going to be a card that's just absolutely fucked up. Absolutely fucked up. Like, unbelievable power creep that I can't even handle. I'm so upset about it. But a 4-mana 6/6 is already stupid. It doesn't have trample, thank goodness, but it is a 4-mana 6/6. But you can also just put it on layaway with these stun counters. If you have nothing to do on turn 1 or 2, this is fantastic as a play, as a threat for later. So I do like the versatility of like, okay, I'm going to have access to this card on 4 if I really need it, but also just like, I'm going to be able to, you know, give it some stun counters and then eventually it'll wake up and do stuff. I think this is a very good card. And I'm going to give it I mean, it's just chonky. I'm going to give it an A-/A. Probably A. Hey, Lizelle! Oh, this is the fucked up card. This is absolutely 100% fucked up. We saw this on Shuffle Up and Play. This is absolutely miserable. Like, okay. It enters prepared. It's a 4/4 Death Touch for 3. That alone is already dumb. Absolutely dumb. So think about it. We had just recently, we had the, I don't think it was called Scavenger. I'm not absolutely sure, but I'll just double check. That was the first thing that occurred to me. No, it's not. Okay, so advanced. I want a raccoon. I want it to be green and rare. What the hell? Help? Oh, I spelled raccoon wrong. I typed too fat. What the? Okay. So here it is. So there's 2 things that I want to show you. One is the scrap shooter. This already was stupid. 3-mana 4/4 that could destroy with reach, right? Then we also have 3-mana 4/4 with Death Touch. So already that's dumb, right? Then we have Enters Prepared, and you can pay 5 mana at instant speed to mill 7 cards, then put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. That, statistically, in the past, has cost, on another raccoon, 7 mana sorcery speed. Of course, it was creature, enchantment, or land, so that is better, but this is mostly what you're doing. 5 mana instant speed, put creature, like, what? What the actual fuck? Oof. This is messed up in value. It's just messed up in value. I can't. I cannot. I fail to can. It's an A tier card. It's really, really stupid. This did, in my opinion, cause the best joke on the Shuffle Up and Play episode, though, which was the professor being like, it's 2 bears in a trench coat with Garrick, right? Fuck, it's 2 bears. Because it's a 4/4 rather than a 2/2. That was so good. I loved that. But this card is so stupid. It's an A/A+. I think it's A+. Oh, God, it's such a dumb card. All right, moving along. Wild Growth Archaic. So this is 2 green or 4 mana total. Trample Reach with Converge. Whenever you cast a creature spell, that creature enters with X additional +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast it. Oh, that can be really fun. So this can be 3 mana if you want to spend 3 colors for 3/3 Trample Reach, and then whenever you cast a creature spell, that creature is going to enter with at least 1 additional counter as long as it has a color at all. So that is pretty stupid. I like this card. This is an A. Okay. Conciliator's Duelist. Huh. 4 mana, but heavily Silver Quill. When this creature enters, draw a card. Each player loses 1 life. Has repartee. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature, exile up to 1 target creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Ah, so you can keep flickering itself at the, well, not pure flicker. It's until end of turns. The end step. It's not instant, but not an instant return. Yikes. But you can also exile other creatures to re-prepare them. But at this cost, it gets killed by all of the common removal spells. But it's still super strong. I think I'm going to call it an A. I don't think it puts me into these colors like an A+ card would, but it's very good. Fix What's Broken. 4 mana, additional cost to cast a spell, pay X life. Return each artifact and creature card with exactly mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if you have a bunch of 3 value creatures, like 3 drops in your graveyard, you pay 3 life and 4, and then you return all of them back. Or 2, which is pretty good. Notably, it's like not X or less, which a lot of the cards like this are. It's just actually the mana value X. I think it's a little situational, but I think overall it's pretty good. I think I'm going to give it an A-. Broke What's Fixin'. Okay, so Moment of Reckoning. We've got, this card is absolutely a house. You saw Amy and Jesse play this card on Shuffle Up and Play. This is a crazy card. Choose 4. You can destroy target non-land permanent, 4 of them, or any combination of like returning target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It's dumb. I like this card. I think it's an A/A+. Nita, Forum Conciliator. 3 mana, 2/3. Whenever you cast a spell that you don't own, put a +1/+1 counter in each creature you control. Crime! 2. Sacrifice another creature. Exile target instant or sorcery card from an opponent's graveyard. You may cast it this turn, and mana of any type can be spent to cast that spell. If that spell will be put into a graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only as a sorcery. That seems fun. I'm going to give that an A, but it probably... that's really fun. It requires a little bit of work, so I probably should give it a little bit of an A-, but I really like this card. I'm going to give it an A. Silver Quill. The dragons. Slam the dragons. Cool. Color Storm Stallion. So wait, is this actually... So Flying Vigilance 4/4/4. Each instant sorcery spell has casualty 1. You can sacrifice creature power 1 or greater and then copy the spell. Yeah, gross. Okay. Color Storm Stallion. 3 mana 3/3 ward 1 haste. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. And additionally, if 5 or more mana was spent to cast it, create a token as a copy of this creature. Jesus. Yeah, that's a fun one. I do think that whoever drew the horse's mouth has never seen a horse's mouth open, but... Like, look at the way the lip is drawn. That's so freaking weird. I don't think happy horses make those types of expressions. This looks like a yawn. But it's also like the lips are like, this is weird. Anyway, how do I want to rank this? I think it's an A-. I think it's a good card. Stupid card is stupid. It is 7 mana. But storming instants and sorcery spell. So what this is gonna do is just make absolute hell for Commander. That's the main thing. But it is a 7/7, but it does cost 7. I think the other Elder Dragons can be slightly better and limited just because they come down earlier. That said, it's still quite powerful if you can if you still have a spell in hand after paying 7 to cast this. If you have instant sorcery, that's sweet. But I do think this Silver Quill is better, and obviously Witherbloom is nuts. Resonating Lute. So 4 mana. Lands you control have tap, add 2 mana of any one color. Spend this mana only to cast instants and sorcery spells. Okay. So you can ramp for instants and sorcery spells. You can also draw a card if you have 7 or more cards in hand. So it's a Library of Alexandria as well. I want to say it's more of a constructed card, like, for EDH, but I do think being able to ramp into the really expensive spells actually is really important. So we've seen Visionary's Dance. I was looking for something to make this cheaper, and this definitely does. We obviously have the little 1/3 Merfolk that does add blue for instants and sorceries, but this is interesting to me for that type of deck. I don't think I'm going to heavily pick it. Like, it's not a first pick card, so I do think it's more of like a B card. But like once you're in Prismari and like it would be a reason to take like a second one of these, for example. It might be worse than I think it is. Splatter Technique. 5 mana. Draw 4 cards or 4 damage to each creature in Planeswalker. So that's another bit of a Wrath. We saw 1 Mythic Wrath in black, and here's 4 damage to each creature in Planeswalker. And then, of course, we have the sort of one-sided bullshit of Moment of Reckoning. I thank you so much for the 300 biddies, Sergeant Salt. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, this seems pretty good. 5 mana, draw 4 cards at sorcery speed, still a better thing than we've seen before. Draw 4 cards is usually 6 mana, although at instant. But deals 4 damage to each creature in Planeswalker. I think Prismari is going to need this against all of the other decks. Lorehold and Witherbloom and Silverquill, and to some degree Quandrix. Quandrix will be harder to kill at 4 damage to each thing, because again, it does produce very large fractals, etc. But I actually think this is going to be very important for a Prismari deck. So I do think this is probably going to be an A- card. But if you're in Prismari, I think it goes to the roof. It might be a B+ card, but if you're in Prismari, it goes to the roof because it's so important. And that's my initial like assessment of it. Traumatic critique X and is it the artist should suffer for their craft, not the audience. Deals X damage to any target, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. Oh, that's excellent. I love this card. Okay. It's any target, so it can go face. I am going to give this an A. It is very good. Now, these days, though, everything, like, it's because of the power creep. Remember, we showed you the 4 mana rare. The 3 mana rare that's a 4/4 Death Toucher. These types of X spells that do damage scaling are worse and worse and worse. So, okay, and again, history lesson here. So, Disintegrate is the most, like, original sort of all of this idea. Obviously, we have Fireball, but Fireball could have multiple targets. So this is just the one we're really going to focus on, which is Disintegrate. Deals X damage to 1 target. So this could be creature or player, or Planeswalker, which wasn't around then. So this is, this was something that, because usually what you had was if you spent 2 mana, you had 2 toughness. If you spent 3 mana, you maybe had 3 toughness. If you spent 4 mana, maybe you had 3 toughness. You almost never had 4. So this kind of scaled with the creature that it was going to kill. So if you spent 4 mana, you could usually kill a 3 toughness creature. And they probably spent 4 mana to cast that spell. Most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. So this card scaled with the actual creatures and spells that were being cast. These days, with power creep, with people spending 3 mana to cast a 4/4, it doesn't scale that well. So these X spells don't scale that well, especially when you have to cast 2 + X. So oftentimes this is not going to kill the big creature you want it to kill. So sometimes you have to settle for something smaller and just get this draw 2 cards, discard a card. Or you go Fireball to the face, basically, right? Or slash Disintegrate to the face. And you just try to kill them with X damage to any target with your instance or sorcery reduction cost and just paying all your mana and hope it doesn't get, countered or whatever. But it is instant speed, so that is really nice. I do think it's a good card. Like but I do want to point out that things like this have gotten worse over time. Things that scale with X's, unless they get some sort of reduction. There was a reduction in the Neo version of like, so let's go red, let's go uncommon, let's go Neo, let's go search. Flame Discharge. So this is an X spell that kills something, deals X damage to a creature or planeswalker, but as long as you control a modified creature, at least it was X + 2. So that's the thing. They've recognized at least to some degree that X spells don't do as much anymore, so they're having to add extra benefits or ways of discounting the X. This obviously is not doing that. So it is important to note that, while still a very good card, especially with the draw 2, discard 1, it may not be exactly as good as we'd like it to be. That said, a lot of this set is pretty small, the creatures, so like I said, this is pretty good against certain of the colleges. All right, Zephi and the Tempests. Waha! 7 mana, 5/7. Once during each of your oh, Jesus Christ. All right, if you still have, instants and sorceries after doing 7 mana for a 5/7, cool. I do think this is more of a constructed card. I don't actually really like this card. It's from your hand. I think probably I would give this like still a C+. I just or even C. I don't even really like this card. Because again, you can't discount creatures in those colors. So you can add mana. You can add red mana by that one dwarf that exiles cards from the graveyard and adds a red mana, but that's the only ramp you have. Okay, I played this card. This card was such a house. It was so good in my Witherbloom deck. Unshuffle and play. This was really, really good. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on each pest, bat, insect, snake, and spider you control. So it's a pest, so it keeps getting bigger when you gain life no matter what. But if you have other pests, they also get bigger. Yeah, great card. Absolutely fantastic. I love this card. It's really easy to make it go off. I'm going to give it an A-/A. I'd like to just give it an A+, but that's just because it was wonderful for me, and also it loafs and invites my soul. So there we go. Yeah, attack with 3 pests, get 3 counters. Exactly. It is so wonderful. But like, again, it does die to like, yeah. It doesn't die to as many pieces of removal. It doesn't die to the like last gasp. It does die to the 4 mana red removal spell and dies to all the unconditional in black and white. But you know, it's so wonderful. I love it. Red will have a really hard time handling this if it stays on the board for any length of time, because it'll get bigger than 6 toughness pretty quickly. But yeah, this card is so wonderful. I'm going to say A/A+, because yeah, so good. So this card is a recurring nightmare, basically. So 1 a black and a green to cast and to activate and tap it. Sacrifice a creature, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. And whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. This card is so good. This is an A/A+. I think it's an A+. I think this card is just nuts. I think it's an A+. So stupid. Okay. Dina's Guidance. So search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand or graveyard, then shuffle at instant speed. So it's a tutor for a creature for 3 mana at instant speed. It's fine. Oftentimes, if you have a bomb, it's going to go up in value. I don't know that it's worth a card in Limited to do this as much as it is in Constructed. Like, Commander really will love this. But again, tutors, as you saw with, like, Ninja Turtles, right? With the tutor there that could become a demonic tutor if you snuck it. Splinter's technique. Not actually that good. In Cube, perhaps, because everything's really, really high powered and you can find stuffs pretty well. But at the cost of a card and 3 mana, sometimes it's not worth it to find the creature card unless you have a bomb. So again, I will not take this unless I have a bomb. So this is a fairly low pick for me, but like if I have a Blech already, and I happen to wheel this, sure, I'll take it. Or get this like pick 6 or 7, right? Okay, now this card is fucking stupid, and it's an S tier card, and yeah. Yeah. Slam it. Vicious Rivalry. So this is before the like they resolve to hate everybody else. So this is 4 mana. As an additional cost to pay this spell, cast the spell, pay 8x life. Destroy all artifacts and creatures with mana value X or less. So this is sort of a so instead of actually paying the mana to do stuff, and this one does artifact, creature, and enchantment. This is just artifact and creatures. You pay life instead, which is often easier than doing this sort of thing. So it's sort of a toxic deluge to some degree, for mana value rather than power toughness. But it also takes out artifacts. So this is a really good Wrath effect. And I think I probably put this one at about an A, I think. Witherbloom is because it comes down as a 5/5 flying death touch so soon, because it has an affinity for creatures, and then makes all your instants and sorcery spells cheaper. The instant and sorcery spells have affinity for something. Should have been on a Prismari card, but there we are. We got Storm instead. But yeah, this card is an A+. It is very, very good. And it might graduate to S, but it still is just a flying Death Toucher. And you don't really care as much to have instants and sorcery spells discounted in these colors. You care about creatures being discounted. So again, slightly interesting. But very, very good still. Arc of Hunger. So 2 in Boros. This reminds me of the the arc in Danger Mouse. The Bone Idol. If anybody else has seen Danger Mouse and the Bone Idol, I love you. But yeah, this was so good. That show. Okay, sorry. The original one, not the newer version. Whenever I'm sure the newer version's good. I just haven't seen it, so I can't weigh in. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, this artifact deals 1 damage to each opponent. You gain 1 life. You can mill a card and can play that card this turn. This is card advantage / card draw for and ping for Boros / Lorehold. It is so sweet. I love this card for that. I think it's an A. It's great to put in that deck. Aziza, Mage Tower Captain. So it's Lorehold colors 2/2. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you can tap 3 untapped creatures you control. If you do copy that spell, that is fantastic. Again, an A, that's great. Hardened Academic, 2 mana, 2/1, flying haste. Discard a card. This creature gains lifelink until end of turn. Whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, put a +1 counter on target creature you control. That's pretty sweet. The discarding a card to gain lifelink is very, very relevant because it fills up your graveyard, because eventually you're going to run out of cards to exile from the graveyard. Look at the gold that this artist put here. That is pretty amazing. That's amazing. So that's pretty cool. Remember that this card can be really good in Doggy Boxia. Whenever this card can be put in something that has Delve. It's only 1 or more, so it doesn't matter like as much, but like, yeah, it's still cool. So, I think that it has flying haste, so that's pretty sweet. I do think this is A-, but it's a really nice card. Lorehold. This one is an S tier card. 5 for a 5/5 flying haste, and then Miracle 2 on each of your instants of sorcery cards in your hand, and then you can rummage every turn, every opponent's upkeep, which is just, yeah. Jesus. Anyway, Suspend Aggression, 3 mana, exile target non-land permanent and the top card of your library. For each of those cards, its owner may play it until the end of their next turn. So you can get rid of a blocker or something important like a token. And you can also get a potential play for the next turn. Or you can force them to recast something very expensive. So I do think this is an A-. It's a decent removal spell. Decent tempo, etc. So, Applied Geometry. So 4 mana, create a token that's a copy of target non-aura permanent you control. Except it's a fractal creature. Put 6 +1/+1 counters on it. You would disrupt Repartee. You can't. The Repartee trigger would have already gone on the stack. On cast. The Repartee trigger goes on cast. So the trigger would be on attack. You can't really disrupt Repartee. Well, then you're just still blinking out their best creature. That's all. Like, you're blinking out a creature. That's still what this card just does. Applied Geometry. So 4 mana, create a token that's a copy of target non-aura permanent you control, except it's a fractal. Put 6 +1/+1 counters on it. Okay, so as long as you have a good permanent, a creature or something, you get a 6/6 for 4? This is gross. Okay. And you get its ETBs. So this card is great. Again, you have to have something, but like, Jesus Christ. I'm gonna go with... It can also be lands. This is just dumb. I'm gonna choose this as an... I want to give this an A+. I really like this card. Yes, you can just choose a land. It says non-aura permanent. So it just can't be an aura, that's it. Berta. Frog! With glasses. 4 mana, 1/4 increment. Okay, whenever you... 1 or more +1/+1 counters are put on Berta, add 1 mana of any color. Okay. X and tap, create... Oh! This is the card that is an infinite combo. It's an infinite combo and you just like ignore all of these basically, and you don't even spend any mana for X. All right, I'm gonna ignore the constructed versions of this, but anyway, just know that this enables infinite combos in EDH. So increment. So it can get bigger, and then you can add mana when it gets bigger. And you can pay X to put X +1/+1 counters. You just keep creating fractals that are stupid. Okay. Yeah, that's an A card. Geometer's Arthropod. 2 mana, 1/4. Whenever you cast a spell with X in its mana cost, look at the top X cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I don't think I'm going to be picking this that highly. There are a lot of X spells in Quandrix. But I think if I'm already in that, I will take this. If I'm not already in that, this is not going to put me in it. I'm not going to take this that highly. I think this is probably like a B card. It's getting good value at 2 mana for a 1/4 for blocking, and occasionally you'll get this value, but like again, I'm not going to pick that one highly. This card's freaking nuts. This card's freaking nuts. Jesse played this in the game that we played prior to the recorded game the previous night. We drafted a box. We sealed a box. It was really interesting. So this card is sick. So X mana and Simic, draw X cards, then you can put a permanent card with mana value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. So normally what happens when you pay X to draw cards is you are spending all your mana and doing nothing to affect the board. You're just drawing cards. And this takes care of that because you can also put a permanent card into play tapped. So at least you're affecting the board. You're impacting the board with that particular thing that you're putting onto the to the battlefield. So it is crazy. I really like this card. I think this is an A-. Super sweet. Quandrix, the Proof, 6 mana, 6/6 flying trample with Cascade. And Instant Sorcery's Father of Cascade. That's an S tier card. That is stupid. It is 6 mana, but like the fact that you also get the immediate Cascade and then also have this, yeah, that's dumb. The Dawning Archaic. So 7/7 for 10. But it costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorceries card in your graveyard, which for Prismari or Quandrix is very little issue. For Lorehold, it's more difficult because you're exiling stuff from your graveyard or flashing it back, and so you'll have fewer in your graveyard than the other stuffs. So that's interesting. Whenever it has reach, whenever it attacks, you can cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. Okay. I think this is very good in Prismari and Quandrix. I don't think it's really as good in the other decks. I might be wrong, because let's say you have 3 instants and sorcery cards in your graveyard, maybe 4. It's 6 mana for a 7/7 reach that you can keep recasted. I think that's probably sick. Still. Hey, get off the desk. Off the desk. Good boy. So you have food. I looked. And you already had treats 2 times. You're gonna get fat. This might still just be stupid. I still think it's best in Prismari and Quandrix. I think if you're in that, you slam it. I think you also slam it first pick as an A plus, just because if you happen to be able to get those colors, you're good. And maybe you can run it in the others just for fun. I don't know. Probably not, but I don't know. Witherbloom maybe, because Witherbloom doesn't exile its graveyard that much. All right, together as one. 6 mana. Target player draws X cards. Together as one deals X damage to any target, and you gain X life, where X is the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. So if you can do 5 damage, draw 5 cards, gain 5 life, great. I'm sure I'm going to try to do that at some point during this format. Let's say it's 3, and it's 6 mana for 3 cards, 3 damage, and 3 life. That's probably worth it too. I'm gonna give this an A-. All right, then we have these dual lands, which again you're gonna these are unless you control 2 or more other lands. These are reprints. Deathcap and Dreamroot are reprints from Crimson Vow / Midnight Hunt. They're very good for basically just very good. But EDH in particular really loves them. But yeah, they're good mana fixing. You'll take them if you want to splash those colors, etc. Or if you're already in those colors. Great Hall of the Biblioplex. But they won't be taken highly because again, there is common land fixing in the form of the Terramorphic Expanse and the others. The common lands with the Surveil. So you're not going to need to take these highly at all. You're not going to be they're not going to be first picking almost ever, unless the pack is really abysmal. So Great Hall of the Biblioplex, and they're still about like $3 or $4 a piece, I think. So add colorless or pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any color, spend it only to cast an instant or sorcery spell, or you can pay 5 to turn it into a 2/4 wizard creature with, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn, and it's still a land. All right, is value out of the land slot best in Prismari or Quandrix, but there you are. Petrified Hamlet to stop another land from doing its thing. I don't think that's good in limited at all, but it's fun and constructed, so this is not a pick. Yeah. Shattered Sanctum, same thing, and Stormcard Coast. Those are both more of the Midnight Hunt / Crimson Vow lands. Sundown Pass, same thing. And now we have the Mystical Archive at Rare and Mythic. Okay. So this is a Chroma's Will. This will just win the game usually. You can slam this one. This is absolutely first pickable. It is an A+ card. Obviously, you have to have enough creatures to do the damage to gain Flying, Vigilance, and Double Strike, or Lifelink, Indestructible, and Protection, but there you are. Angel's Grace. I don't like this card for limited. You can do it such that your opponent attacks for lethal, and as long as you have the lethal and the crack back, you do that. And then you don't die, and you kill them. I'm sure I'm going to get got by it at some point, but I'm not going to be picking it highly. It's probably like a B card. Because it really, you have to, it has to be timed appropriately, and you have to be losing. So otherwise, you're most likely going to want any other card. So I'm still going to make it. This is still going to be a C for me. Armageddon is stupid. It's effed up. It's a win more card. If you're ahead, it really sucks to have this played. If you're behind, it really sucks to have this played against you, and they will play it, and it's absolutely stupid. Yeah. This is definitely first pickable. I just wish it weren't in the set at all. It could be in the collector boosters, but doesn't have to be in my limited format. This is going to lead to so many sour grapes, especially for like control decks. So if the white deck, right, gets off to a nice start and your control deck is just building up value, right, and then they destroy all lands, their control deck has no way of getting back into the game. Whereas your opponent is used to be like, might have, you know, kept a few lands in hand and can usually get by with a couple lands for all their creatures and the things that they need to do. So I really hate that this is in the format. It is probably an S tier card. You do have to be ahead though, and it does go in a certain deck. Prismatic Ending. Exile target non-land permanent if its mana value is less than or equal to the number of colors of mana spent to cast this spell. This was printed in Modern Horizons. I don't know how I feel about this one. It's probably a fine removal spell. Because you're going to do 3, and 3 is fine. So pay 4 mana, exile target non-land permanent with 3. Yeah, I'm going to give it a B+/A-. Reprieve. Return target spell to its owner's hand. So this was printed in Lord of the Rings. And draw a card. So it's sort of a remand for white. And it was valuable at a time. I don't know if it still is. As far as like $3 card, but it was uncommon. Some of these have been upgraded to rares or different values. So, and I think this was uncommon as well. So this one is a really nice card if you're trying to get through the last points of damage with white. It absolutely can put uncounterable stuff back. I don't think there's anything uncounterable in this set though. So yeah, draw a card. Decent spell. I'm not gonna really high picking it. It's probably a B- card. I'm not unhappy to run it, but yeah. So return X target creature cards with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and you can convoke it. This is return to the ranks. At one point, this kind of broke standard. I think, if I'm recalling correctly. But yeah. Was that the one that I'm thinking of? Hold on. Yes. This was used to do a little bit of standard stuff. It didn't break standard, but it was just used to do some stuffs, I think. There was an Aristocrats deck with it, yeah. But this has beautiful Dominic Meyer art here now. And there are a lot of things in Boros Lorehold here with 2 mana or less. I think it's a little situational, and this one wasn't that good in M15. In the limited format. So again, I think this is probably like a B+ card. But yeah, maybe even B-. Winds of Abandon is bullshit. This is an S tier card. Take it. So basically for 1 extra mana, it's a Path to Exile, but you can overload it and just exile all their creatures. Brain Freeze. Storm, it's in this? Oh, God. Oh, I'm gonna get wrecked by the stupid little O2 that mills, and then this card too. Oh, God. Shit. All right. Well, Brain Freeze is in this. You do you with this card. I really just, I don't want to deal with that at all, and I'm gonna try and ignore it. It's not gonna ignore me, but Cyclonic Rift is an S tier card. Put it in your deck. It's very dumb. I really wish it weren't in the format. Okay. Daze, counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. Definitely play around this card if you can. If you're seeing it, if you can't afford to play around it, don't play around it. Blue decks will potentially want this. Returning an island is a huge cost in limited. Going down a land, especially for a Quandrix and Prismari that really do want to have the maximum amount of mana. So you really want to use this on a very, very important spell. And again, it's going to counter unless it pays 1, so the longer the game goes, the worse it gets. This is more of a constructed card than anything. I'm going to give it a C+. You can still run it, but I'm not super happy about it. Flusterstorm. You can fluster the storm. This is not really a playable card in limited. You can do it, again, if you get lucky and can counter a really important instant or sorcery unless they pay 1. Cool. But yeah. I think it's unless they pay 2 because it will have stormed if they played an instant or sorcery. So, yeah. Anyway, I don't really think this one is also that I mean, unless you're playing against Prismari and things, I think it's more of a sideboard card, best of 3. But yeah. Force of Will is stupid. You can slam this card because it's money, and you can also slam this card because it's good. Free counters are always dumb. Pongify. Turn it into a monkey. Well, an ape, technically. The thing is, though, you're gonna have to save this for one of their best creatures because they're gonna get a 3/3 instead, and it's just destroy, so they could get it back. So yeah, this is better for EDH where you're like destroying something freaking giant and giving them a 3/3 instead. That said, like I said, there are a lot of bombs in this that you do just want. Okay, if you would be so happy if they just had a 3/3 instead, but it's not going to be heavily played, most likely. Just like the white removal spell that gives them a an inkling token. So we have this harsh annotation here, gives them an inkling token and destroys target creature at uncommon for 2. I think this is probably like a C+ card. But it's possible that you might want it. Preordain, scry 2, draw a card. Good instant. Sorry, good draw effect with card selection. And then there's no more really to say for that. It's a B+ card /B. It's just a good card, but it's not going to be like something you usually first pick. Ad nauseum. So, this is a combo piece for constructed deck. I do not generally, unless you are running so many really cheap cards and this is like the most expensive card in your deck and otherwise you max out at 3, like, or 4. I think you don't necessarily run this card in limited. It's just too risky. Again, you can repeat the process any number of times you choose. So if you get something large first, then you can lose that life, put it into your hand, and then stop. But again, it's just putting it into your hand. It's not doing anything to the board at 5 mana. So for me, this is unplayable. But again, there are some circumstances you can have some fun with it. It'd be cool to draw a couple 2-drops for 4 life, but at 5 mana and a card in addition, you'd almost always rather any of the other draw effects in black. So yeah. All right. Culling the Weak. So this is 1 black source, right? So this is when they decided Dark Ritual was too much, right? 1 black source, sacrifice a creature as an additional cost, and add 4 black mana. So if you can somehow get a pest early or something little early and then play a 4-drop on turn 2, then oftentimes you can take over the game. I don't know how well you can. It depends on what that 4-drop is. But it could be pretty cool. I'm not gonna necessarily prioritize this that much. It depends on the deck. Obviously, if this comes around and I have a really good sacrifice, like payoff for sacrifice or something like that, I will consider it. But I'm pretty sure this is going to be, for me, one of like B- picks. Dismember, this is a great card. This is going to be an A-. This was an uncommon in the past. But basically 1 and 2 Phyrexian mana. So you can put it in any deck. As long as you can pay 4 life, any deck will play this card. Doesn't matter what color. Target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn at instant speed. It's one of the better removal spells printed. So, yeah. I mean, this is a really good card. And it goes in any deck. Sholdred's Edict, great removal spell in terms of just, okay, sacrifices non-token or token. So that's really important because oftentimes they'll have a bunch of little pest tokens and you really don't want them sacrificing those, so you get at least the non-token here. And on rare occasions, you will absolutely have to kill this motherfucker. Oh wait, that's the what was it? What's the stupid planeswalker duder guy? Black, green. This stupid asshole. So on occasion, you might be able to get them with that, but Shoulder's Edict is usually worth running. It's probably more of a B+ card, but it's nice. Do these take rare slots? I think they're an additional card. Not like in terms of like more cards than normal in a pack, but I think they have their own special slot. Pretty sure, because you can get any rarity. But they have one slot, I think. But you can look it up in the release notes. The release notes will tell you exactly when and how frequently they go for it. So the Mystical Archive cards, right? That's what you're going to be looking for with these. They also have special guests. They're 10 special guests. But yeah. Smallpox. This is not something I would run in this. It's lovely. It does some fun things. And the artwork is spectacular, but I'm not going to run that in this format. Vampiric Tutor. Again, if you have a card that you want to search up, great stuff. Go do it. This is definitely money, so you want to slam it for money, but it is also a good card. I'm going to give it an A+. It's just really efficient ways to search for exactly what you need for the next turn. Big score. Formerly a common. From New Capenna. And I think before that too. But, or maybe, as an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards, create 2 treasure tokens. So basically you get 2 of these mana back, but you also get to draw 2 cards and, at the cost of this card plus another. So it's a really nice spell to ramp with and get some cards. It was common. I don't know why it's rare here. I really don't. So here it is in Streets of New Capenna in its first printing. I'm not sure why. I mean, obviously it's money as a card. Like, it's a really good card. It's the best of the things that do what it does, but it's not a rare. Anyway, so this one I'd probably take around a B- level. It's good, but not like unbelievable. Brotherhood's End from Brotherhood's War does 3 damage to each creature in each planeswalker, or destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. This second one is going to probably be very irrelevant unless they get that recurring nightmare card artifact. But the 3 damage to each creature in each planeswalker, if you go against an opposing deck that gets off to a faster start, that's probably going to be useful. That said, usually this color, the red, is going to be Lorehold or Prismari. Prismari might really want this, but Lorehold doesn't very much want this because it really doesn't want to kill all its own creatures. Except in that instance that we talked about where your opponent was faster. But I think it's not worth including this at the price of a creature or other part of your game plan in the Lorehold deck. I think in Prismari it's probably quite worth it. Crackle with Power. Stupid card is stupid. This Prismari can make this happen. I would definitely take this card. I would slam this card. This is an A+. You do have to work up to the mana, but it is really dumb. Because even at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? It's doing 1 damage times 5 to each of up to 1 target. So 5 damage to a target for 5 thanks. But if you can do the 2, then it's dealing 10 damage to 2 targets, which can be their face. So anyway, it's a dumb card. It's probably not an S tier card. It's probably like an A or A+, but I really like it. Empty the Warrens with Storm. This is a fun card. I'm not sure how frequently it's going to be crazy, but It's fine. I don't. There may be a storm deck in here somewhere. I mean, we've got the Brain Freeze, we got the Empty the Warrens, we got the dragon that gives storm to stuff. I don't know. I don't know how good this is going to be. It's a sorcery, so you have to have cast something else. So it's going to at least be like 5 mana that turn or 6 mana that turn to make this do two times. So it's difficult to say that this is going to be good in this format. It really depends. Again, like cheap prepare spells can help you do this, but yeah, I don't know. I suspect this is going to be best in the Lorehold deck when like you use a prepare spell for 1 and then do this. And then do a mass pump, but I'm not really sure. So I'm going to be picking this pretty low, probably B-. Jeska's Will. This is money. You can slam it in paper. 3 mana, choose one. This is a game changer these days, I think. If you control a commander, you cast a spell, you can choose both. You're not going to control a commander because this isn't commander. You can only choose one of these. So you can add red for each card in target opponent's hand, or you can exile the top 3 cards of your library. You can play them this turn. Because the both is what's important. I really don't think you pick this highly in limited at all. Yeah. I mean, if you're really late in Prismari and you pay 3 to exile the top 3 cards of your library and can play them this turn because you have 1,000,000 mana, like if you're like 8 mana, then maybe, but I don't see myself picking this card highly unless it's in paper because it has money. It's also stunning artwork. So, probably gonna be like a C on this one. Pyretic Ritual. Aha! This is a storm card. In the old storm decks that I have. So 2 and 3 modern storm I had, and then they banned stuff. Anyway, 2 and to add 3, so you net 1 mana at instant speed, and you've cast a spell, so you can cast a 3-drop after that, or cast a storm spell. So here, right, if you go Pyretic Ritual, which is a rare here rather than uncommon, 3 mana. So let's say you spend 2 mana out of the 4 that you have, or sorry, out of the 3 that you have that turn. Then you can add 3, pay the extra 1 to play Empty the Warrens, and get 4 1/1 red goblin creature tokens, but they're both rare, so the likelihood of that happening is very low. I don't know. Pyretic Ritual is always a fun one, though, to trigger sort of Ursat's prowess that we have in the Opus, but I'm not sure how highly I would take that one either. Even 2 mana to cast triple red. The main thing that we'd see is that Archaic, the red one, which would be pretty cool, but again, not like the most amazing thing to ramp into because you're only getting 1 more. I don't know about how good this card is. I'm still gonna put it as a C+ there. Subterranean Tremors, X and a red. It deals X damage to each creature without flying. That's really important for Prismari, I think, again, for more controlling to buy you time against aggro decks. If X is 4 or more, destroy all artifacts, and if X is 8 or more, create an 8/8 red lizard creature token. So if you pay 9 mana, you get that lizard token, and destroy all artifacts and deal 8 damage to each creature without flying. So it is a Wrath. It's a fun card. It is worth a little bit of money in paper, like I think 10 or something like that. Somewhere around there. I'm not sure with the reprints how that works. But it is a reprint from Battle Bond, I think. No, Conspiracy. I think it's Conspiracy. Yeah, Conspiracy. So yeah. That was an interesting one. So I don't know how that's gonna do in this one. I think it's probably pretty good in Prismari, so I think it's probably an A-. Yeah. No, I think it's probably an A. That's a nice one. Awaken the Woods is sick. You saw Amy play it. This is a great card. If you're in green, slam it. It ramps you, but it also poops out creature tokens to ramp you with. It is nice. This is an A+ card. Berserk. So that is definitely cool artwork, but the original is so classically nutty. that that I can't help seeing this one. So until end of turn, target creature's current power doubles and it gains trample ability. If it attacks, target creature is destroyed at end of turn. This spell cannot be cast after current turn's attack is completed. So here's how they templated that in the more recent version. Cast this only before the combat damage step. Instant speed. Target creature gains trample and gets plus X plus O until end of turn where X is its power. So effectively double its power. At the beginning of the next end step, destroy that creature if it attacked this turn. So, yeah. So this can kill a fella, pretty easily. It's a fun combat trick to just make sure that damage goes through. It is, and you will have to sacrifice that creature at the end of the turn. Well, destroy it. You're not actually sacrificing, because sacrificing is a different effect, but it just destroys that creature if it attacked this turn, which it must have to do this. Well, actually, no, sorry. You can just pump a creature for no reason. I should say. You can pump it for like a punch spell or something, for example, and don't attack with it. That is an option. I should say that. And you can like pump a blocker, right? So that I should point that out. So it's a fine card. I don't think it's really highly picked in this one. I'm going to give it a B. It's a fine trick, and sometimes it's going to win you a game, but oftentimes it's not what you necessarily want to be doing. It depends on how big your creatures are. If you're like heavily in maybe Quandrix as opposed to Witherbloom, depends. There are some big creatures that go in both that are just mono green. Crop rotation. Sacrifice a land, find a land card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. If you have a broken land, great. I don't think you're going to have that many broken lands in this set. So I would not be picking this highly. It is money, but it is not ridiculous money. So this is going to be a... I mean, you can fetch up, like, again, the fixers. So it's still fine, but it's not great. I don't think it's worth necessarily a full card to do so. Usually you can draw those on your own without having to sacrifice a land and do the things. But if you're absolutely desperate to be able to get like a fourth color or something like that, and you could run it, or end up fetch up one of these or a Dreamroot Cascade or whatever it is from the rares. So yeah, I'm not going to be picking this highly usually. Glimpse of Nature. Whenever you cast a creature spell this turn, draw a card. That can be really good if you're going to be casting multiple creatures per turn. You have to sort of set it up. I haven't really been... I've never run this in a format. I've never played Limited in a format where this was legal, so I don't exactly know... Oh, no, I have. Because it was Kamigawa Champions, right? Yeah, Champions. I have played, actually, when this was legal. I wasn't hugely a fan of it because you had to cast, so it required a lot of mana, so you had to set it up a lot. I think it's a fine thing to run, but I don't think I'm gonna highly prioritize it. It's probably a C+. Shamanic Revelation is 4 mana to draw a card for each creature you control, but you also gain 4 life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. I think Quandrix is going to take, or again, a big Witherbloom deck is going to take advantage of this best. Again, you have to control the creatures at the time. It's 5 mana to maybe draw, you know, hopefully 3 cards. That would be really nice. But could be more if you're already winning. It might be a win more card. And then you gain life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. And again, if you control like multiple creatures with power 4 or greater, that can be... You're probably already winning is the problem. So I don't know how to evaluate this card outside of EDH. I think it might be good, but it might be bad. So again, I'm going to put it around the B or B minus slot. Maybe just a B. Maybe just a solid B. Triumph of the Hordes is stupid. Absolutely dumb. So it's money, so take it, but also I'm going to take this pretty highly. This is an A card. It can just win the game out of nowhere with, you know, a couple creatures, like 3 creatures, and you're just like, well, I just did 10 points of infect damage to you. It's a little situational. It's a little more situational than making it out to be, but it's still just such a dumb card. But yeah. Veil of Summer. This was a lot of money at one point in a thing because everybody's running blue or black and you could counter it. You could draw a card and then gain hexproof from blue and black. So this is a good spell to like sideboard in best of 3. I don't think it's good enough to run main deck at all ever. Sadness. In this in best of 1. Fracture. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker. Note, not creature. I don't think in this set this is worth running, except in the sideboard. If you see they have Evil Dude. That dude. So there are some artifacts that I want to destroy, like the Recurring Nightmare type one, and there's some enchantments that I'd rather but like this is just not worth including for those. This the infrequency of that is prohibitive, I think. Expressive Iteration, great draw effect. You absolutely want to run that card in Prismari. I don't think it puts you in Prismari necessarily. It used to be uncommon, not a rare. So I'm gonna put it around the like if you are already in Prismari, it goes way to the top of the list, right? But it's probably just on its own, like in the first pack, it's probably a B card. There's a lot of uncommons and rares that you take over it. Yeah. Culling Ritual. Okay, so this is a reprint. All of these are reprints. I shouldn't say that anymore. So this is from oh god, why am I blanking on this one? Anyway, it's I don't even need to. So this is a really fun card for a controlling deck. I probably run this if I'm running Sultai and I'm splashing for the black, because again, Quandrix takes a little bit of time to get going and wants to stop Lorehold and Witherbloom and Silver Quill from getting out of hand. And it can also add mana for you to cast the next thing. So I don't think I would run this in Witherbloom in particular, just because Witherbloom has a lot of things with value 2 or less that it doesn't want destroyed. But, you know, on occasion, if your opponent got off to a better start with their Witherbloom deck, you might want to put this in. So I do think that it's probably not necessarily first pickable. I think you want to go into either of those before you do it. I'm kind of sad that it has a bunch of animals being killed on it, even though I know that's what this card is about. I'm pretty sure that you could illustrate that without having, you know, animals being torn apart on it. But, yeah, I'm going to try and look at this as little as possible. But again, I think this is probably going to be like a B or B plus card to take. And, you know, if you're already in those colors or that we mentioned, so. You loved playing a New for X where people just post-block facing giant growth and stuff. Deflecting Palm. Okay, so this is from Khans of Tarkir originally. It was a rare there, so it hasn't been like messed with, the rarity. The next time a sorcerer of your choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent that damage. If damage is prevented that way, Deflecting Palm deals that much damage to that sorcerer's controller. You're gonna have to remember that this is in the format. If you like attack with a 5/5 and you're at 5 life and they have 2 mana open like this, you're like gonna have to consider. So basically it's one source of your choice, so it's not like all the damage that you're being dealt that turn. So you have to be careful about that, but it does stop that from happening. And it's damage to you, not a creature. Remember that too. So it's just a fun card. It was not a really heavy win rate card in cons as far as I remember when I played, but I only played in paper and I wasn't looking at a lot of stats at that point. But cons has been back on arena several times, and I still don't think this card necessarily wins tons of games. So again, it's probably more of a like B minus card to pick up, but or B, but it can do some fun things. Bring to light. All right, converge. So this searches your library for a creature, instant, or sorcery card with mana value less than or equal to the number of colors of mana spent to cast this card. So let's assume you cast with 5, right? You can search with 5 or less instant, creature, or sorcery. And you can cast that card without paying its mana cost. So you can go search for it and do it. Bring to Light can be really fun, but is more of a meme than anything. If you do have 3 colors, at least you can pay 5 to search for a 3-drop instant, sorcery, or creature and just play it. So that if you have something that's really, really good at those those costs, then it's really good. Again, a lot of the time, you're actually going to have things that cost a lot more that you would rather get for this or play rather than this card. So it's a little situational. I'm not sure how much I like it in this format, but it is pretty easy to get 3 colors at the very least, and I think you can build converged decks with other stuff. And I think this card will wheel pretty well. So again, I'm probably going to pick it up around the like B minus if I or B range. You've lost a deflecting palm when it came out. Yeah, I did. I actually tied somebody when it came out. It was so funny. I forget how we did, but it did work. Okay, so Living End. This is the all-star in Commander. And this is actually one of the payoff for that Pox card. Interesting. So it was I don't know if it's yeah, Pox Plague, there it is. So like each player loses half their lives, discards half the cards in their hand, sacrifices half the permanents they control of choice, round down. Then if you could also Living End because your creatures were better that you sacrificed, then that can be fun. So you can put all the bad creatures that they sacrificed onto the battlefield for them and all the good creatures for you. That said, it is just a suspend card, so they're going to see it coming. This is more of a card for... Oh, it's Living End, not... Wait. What's the other one? Help. It's 5 mana. The one that Living Death. That's the one. Okay. So Living Death is the all-star in the Commander stuff. This one is the one that I'm thinking of. Tempest card here. Set aside all creature cards in play in graveyards, then put at the blah blah blah. That's the same thing, but this one is the suspend one that is so heavily featured in a bunch of modern Living End decks, wherein you cascade into it. So yeah. Anyway, but this one can be very fun. I don't think it's for this format necessarily. I don't think you can control the game well enough in limited necessarily for this to be great. So I am not really going to be picking this card in this. Yeah. Anyway. Okay, now we get to the Commander. So we have finished now the rares and mythics. What about the special guests? Do I know how to find those? Does anybody know how to find those on Scryfall? Actually, it might give me secrets. There's Commander, Mystical Archive. Does anybody know how I can find the special guests? I have no idea.
Hello there.
Oh, the serialized one. Jeez. Sylvan Library is a special guest? Holy crap. 10 cards. Okay, but which 10 cards are they? Are you really not gonna list it? Hmm. Yeah, so the Mystical Archive card, as we saw, has its own special slot. Yeah, but you can sell them for a lot of money, Claymore. Okay, this is pissing me off. We'll just go to the card image gallery and maybe we can do the filters. Hmm. Ah, there we go. Okay. Wait, I don't just want blue. Okay, okay. Anyway, so Archaeomancer, Archmage Emeritus, Murmuring Mystic, Grim Haruspex, Dual Caster Mage, Magus of the Library. That's not going to be very relevant. Sylvan Library's nuts. Dual Caster Mage can be crazy. Haruspex is wonderful. Archaeomancer is going to be very good in this set. Again, return target instant or sorcery card for 4 is really, really sweet. Emeritus, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, draw a card. That's going to be a slam. Murmuring Mystic is going to be super strong, as it always is in any deck that matters with spells, instants, and sorceries. Adrix and Nev, twin casters, whenever one or more tokens be created under your control, to create twice that many. If you have a lot of things that create fractal tokens, then that's fantastic. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit too much investment at 4 mana for a 2/2. Oh, Cody's back. And Library of Lang. I don't think... so Library of Lang is not going to be useful in the set that much, but it's still a great card. But Cody is so much fun. As long as your deck is like all spells... God, this is so good. And Library Lang now is on Arena. Yeah, that's a fun one. Okay, good to know. Good to know. So now we've seen everything that we're going to see today, 5:26 in the morning. And I get to go to sleep and then come back for early access. So what do you think of the set so far is the question. That is the question. I might play a game on Arena first. We'll see. Ah, I have to take out the trash and the recycle. Whoa, there we go. Look at the art. Yeah, I had fun on Shuffle and Play. You were surprised to see me with Amy? We live very close. We hang out a little bit. Yay, Robbie! Oh, let's watch this together. Okay, so hold on. I gotta turn up the game sounds. Okay, for those of you with your mic really low or high, I'm about... So, specifically high, but like, I'm about to up the game sounds so we can watch this together again. The other day I had my game sounds really low, so here we go.
Welcome to Strixhaven University, the greatest repository of magical knowledge in the multiverse. The Founder Dragons formed this institution to explore the duality of the natural world. Strixhaven students choose one of 5 colleges to direct their study. The eloquent orators of Silverquill research linguistic magic, while the creative mages of Prismari breathe beauty into their works of art.
Just make the hand move. I swear, it'll work.
Harness the power of life and death. And Lorehold's Archaeomancers uncover mysteries and bring history to life. Last but not least, The
Numeromancers
combine magic and math to calculate the infinite. However, something is dangerously wrong on Arcavios. The normally docile Archaics have begun rampaging. Students must journey off campus to unravel the mystery of what has enraged these ancient forces of nature. The 5 schools will need to band together like never before to face their greatest test yet.
Okay. I like how he paused. I think it was a mistake in the narration, but he paused between forces and of nature to battle these forces of nature. It's forces of nature. You don't actually like have to also, but forces of nature is like a lovely reference back to Force of Nature, the card. I don't think they actually intended that, but it's funny. The frog nerds, yeah. So we have the Secrets of Strixhaven early access in 8 hours and 30 minutes. We do have that token entry, so we're all set to go there. And I think I do have a traditional draft to play. I probably should sleep, and then I could actually start on time. I don't know if I'm going to start on time anyway. I don't know if I could sleep anyway right now. So yeah, you can already access these to build decks. You can't play with them yet, but you can access to build decks. So some people have been doing that. So it's pretty sweet. I think I want to at least play one of these. They can show up in Momir? Oh, what is Momir up right now? Is there a way to play Momir right now? Oh, from Midweek Magic? Okay. Oh, let's do it. You made it out of bronze. Congratulations, Coffee. Congratulations. That is so great. Oh, man. What's this? Hired Claw is actually a good one to get. Relatively. Because at least you can activate the ability later or attack with it and do 1 damage, but I don't normally do 1-drops. Oh, thanks, Grimace. Really appreciate it. Aha. Useless. Okay. Yay! I can discard a card and draw a land. Alright, also useless, so we're good. Also useless. Okay. We are hitting so poorly. I mean, apart from that, that was a good hit for a 1-drop. Very good. This is fun. Not typical. Usually I get much more powerful things than what we've gotten. Okay, at least that one's decent. Well, nope, never mind. I lied. Because it's all creatures. You may have this. Have we hit anything other than a common so far? I don't think so. They've hit 2 rares, although this one does nothing. Alright. We'll see how it goes. We're bad at this game. Wait, they did that before they played out a land? What? At least it's a dragon with flying. It's an uncommon. Oh boy. I think this is the lowest power, oh, that's sweet with this. I think this is the lowest power Momir game that I've ever played. Alright, so we play a snow-covered mountain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Discard an island. Scholar! Okay. So they're now at parity with us because of this angel. That was pretty good. Fuck! Oh, man. At least they can't kill this, because the ward 2. Honestly, they can just kill the 5/5 and the 3/3. Or they can kill the 2/8, but not both. So I suppose that's not, like... I mean, I'm still gonna die to it on the attacks, but... That sucks. I think they've hit better than us in every single one, save like the 2/8 and the... Like, I think this angel is better than the 4/4. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Do I want 7 or 8? I guess we want 8. Could, like, hoof or something. Or anything. Yikes. Alright. They should have run out of cards, but this was actually a huge thing to put another land into play. What? Okay. Galta. No, Gisheth, sorry. That also deals 10 damage when you come into play, or at least 8 damage or whatever it was. Look, reveal all the lands! Woo! Yeah. A surprising lack of dinosaurs there. Entirely. Yeah. Are they gonna do 9? Interesting. Shit. They're good at hitting things. Huff, please. Huh. If I weren't dead, that would be cool. I would have loved that last turn. Why are you playing these out? What's going on? Oh, actually, if they attacked all, that would be good. Because they could actually kill me with the Frostburn weird, I think. If they attacked all, because they have 2 flyer. Well, no, maybe not. Why would they not play something? That's weird. Oh, wait, hold on. So let me think. Okay, hold on. If I pay 2 life to give this -2/-2. Draw 2 cards. -1/-1, and then draw 2 cards. Yeah, we're trying it. Huff! God damn it. I don't think that was right. I'm gonna be 2 damage off, I think. At the very least. It was so close! If only I could draw one of these and then discard a land. Remember, I can't block this card because it has protection from black, so I can't actually block with the 8/8. Why do you keep getting ridiculous mythics? Sadness. Oh, they don't know I can't block. Wait, I didn't have a flyer. Why didn't you just win? There's no way I should have won that game. There were so many turns where they didn't actually do the Momer thing. They just played out a land. And then there were so many times where, I don't even know. Okay. Probably a newer player or something like that. I have no idea. Okay. Moving along. Okay. Okay, so let's start with a forest. Hey, we don't want to assume the gender could be another me over there. Hopefully it's not. 2 of me would be way too many. But yeah. Snow-covered mountain, snow-covered swamp, snow-covered island. Let's go. Alright, OP, you can do this. Not a bad one. Well, that's not happening. Useless rare. Go, Momer Vig. 1, 2, 3, 4. Haha. Munden. Oh, that's vaguely useful. Other creatures you control have haste. God damn it. Okay, so no planes here, so we're gonna double up on forests for potential activated abilities. Okay, I mean, at least it's a 5/5, I suppose. Bad rare. Meh rare here. Great rare. I mean, because it gives haste to all this bullshit. At least it flies. Dear God. But that's a horrible 6 drop to get. Let's stare at the opponent for a little bit. Etherling. Shit. Obviously, they're not going to exile it, but, like, can't be blocked this turn is huge. Alright, so next we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's go! Oh, no. Cancel. We could have a fire breathing. Ooh, okay. Go, flyers, go. I wonder... Fine. I could try and find a planes just because, but I don't think we should do that. Alright. Is this a rare? No, it's an uncommon. Okay. So they can do for 6 and then make the Etherling unblockable if they want to. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Hi, cat. Give something flying. Okay, not right now. Yeah, that's rough. The haste on this was so stupid. We're effed. Alright. Do I do 8? I think we do. Target non-creature permanent. Okay. Definitely that, because of the Etherling. Can I get in for enough damage? 7 in the air. No, I don't think I can. Yeah. I really needed to get rid of this, but I think that was the best I can do. Alright, they don't have another blue source to make this unblockable at least, but they still have Appa to make things flying, but I can at least block an Appa right now. Zero swamps! Nice! Alright, I think it's way more important. Like, yes, they might draw an island, but I think it's way more important to kill that, so... Oh, I don't need to double block, though. They don't have trample, right, or anything on here? Yeah, okay. Ooh, sexy. Now that was a hit. Okay, so... Yeah, it's these two. They played it out? What? They're trying to activate it, but they don't have anything to discard, so... Okay. People unclear on the concept. Well, I'll take it. That was gonna be a good game no matter how it went at, so that was actually nice. Sweet. Okay. Alright, alright. Okay. We've been on the play every game, I think, which is kind of ridiculous. That's nice. Draw a card is always a really sweet hit. Oh, sexy. I remember when this was dominating standard. That was so much fun. This was so good, the energy deck. Oops. Yeah, that sucks. I'm so sorry. Oh, God. Useless. That's a rare, jeez. Yay! We did it! Turtles forever! Okay, sorry. Packs, what do we have? What is this? Oh, is this what we got from the cube drafts? Probably. Huh. Okay. Some Mox Pearl, yes. Final Flourish was good. Storm Seed Core was fine. Ooh, you could do a Mori. You didn't need to... It's still a 4-mana 4/5, which is fine. That would discount the creature types. So, still fine. I think of this, Final Flourish or Mori or Seed Cores are fine. Wait, we had one more? Yes, yeah. No, one more. Two more. Okay. Midnight Hunt. Ooh, Borrowed Time was good. Wild card. Okay. Strixhaven! We do secrets today! Witherbloom Apprentice. And Combat Professor was nutty. This card was so good. So good. And then there's Negate, which was great too. Speaking of Dominic Meyer, who did stuff on the original Mystical Archives as well. Alright. Does the store have anything interesting? Some stonks for us? Not really. What's the theme? I can't tell. Maybe it's just random cards. Anyway. Alright. So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to sleep and then I'm gonna come back. I don't know exactly when I'll be online, but your favorite streamers will be online starting at 1 p.m. Eastern. In what? That's not right. It's like 7 hours now. It's only 7 hours. Yeah. 7 or 8 hours. Okay. What? It's 7 hours. It should be 7 hours. Because it's 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And this is suggesting that it's 2 p.m. Eastern. So it's off right now, the reading here. So yeah, your favorite streamers will be on at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, on Twitch doing the early the early access event. I may not be on exactly at 1. I might be on later because my normal time is later, but maybe I won't be able to sleep and we'll see what I do. So but yeah, it will be fun, and I'll announce on like Discord and Blue Sky when I actually go on. It'll be fun. And we'll be able to play. It'll be so much fun. If you missed a moment of and you really want to watch the the first look limited, it's on YouTube. All the VODs are there. You can see the start of the commons and uncommons, part 1, 2, and then part 3 is the rares and mythics. So if you want to see any insights that I might be able to have, as well as just sort of comparisons to older cards that you can, so that you can get a sense of exactly how powerful that type of card was in the past, and parallels there. That's what we have for the first look. So should be pretty fun. Again, I think I would do if I were doing these a little bit more seriously, I'd probably create an actual grid and then rank cards above each other within them, like within the C tier, like, okay, here's what you're going for this. But so we had a lot of things that were at the C plus, a lot of things that were at the A's, in the A's that I think might go up or down based on stuff. So and I'd love to rank them. This one I'd take higher than this one at some point, but that's a lot of time and effort. So usually we just talk through all of the potential interactions that we see and go from there. And rank that based on like pick order, first pick, first pack. And we'll talk through what would happen if it were already in those colors and how that would change the pick order. So yeah. Okay. So hopefully that was helpful, and you'll see them in your pre-release and know a little bit more about the interactions and a little bit more about how to value those cards based on my perspective. Again, always good to get multiple perspectives so you can go and watch somebody else's first look and see what you think about that. And how useful the card will be and what synergies that person noticed for them in the set. And again, because my voice was running out of gas, it was big mad yesterday after doing all of the commons and uncommons. We didn't discuss as much about the common and uncommon mystical archives, exactly where you would take them in a pick order. We just sort of, because they had been in other sets, we sort of went with an assumption of approximately where they were for other sets. Obviously this has new synergies, so some of the +1/+1 counter ones will have different things, but we talked about it a little bit, so okay. But you'll get a much better idea from watching it actually played in the early access, so I'm really excited about that, and we'll go for that later. I have something that I'm going to wear for it too, so we'll see whether that works out. I'm not sure. I haven't tried it on yet, so we'll see how this goes. Anyway, I hope you have the most wonderful morning, noon, night, afternoon, tea, second breakfast, whatever time it is for you. Let's go raid somebody awesome so that you can hit there in the meantime. Who is online? Let's see. Andre Mangucci, and I actually don't recognize anybody else right now who's actually still playing. Like, Nib is on, but not playing Magic, if that's okay. Playing Subnautica? I don't even know what that is, but that's cool.
Oh my god, I should probably take this.
Okay. But I think we're gonna go for Andre Mangucci, who's playing Modern Zoo, which sounds really cool to watch. So we're gonna go for that, and then I'll be back on later to draft and play Sealed in this format. So I'm very much looking forward to it. We'll see what magic we can wreak. All right. So start that raid, get you going, looking at cool magic. We got a Flage in hand, we got Leyline Binding, we have Consigned to Memory, Lightning Bolt, and Doorkeeper Thrall, and a Leyline of the Guild Pact on the battlefield along with Ragavan. So this looks fascinating. Let's see how this goes. So we're gonna raid now, and again, check out the YouTube when you get a chance, check out the sponsors when you get a chance. Fractal Magic, Jank, and Rogue, super amazing. And yeah, I love you all. I hope you have such a wonderful morning, noon, night, after tea, second breakfast, whatever time it is for you, and enjoy the early access, no matter whom you watch. So, yay! Rating now.